when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle. Even when you feel low, you can still go.
Wrap up your Monday with some laughs. Make sure to join Will, Seven, Dan the Dick Warner, and Josie as they dive into the hottest topics of the week across sports, including baseball, basketball, and the NFL. You can catch the episode live Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, or Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. Don't miss the Sports Report Podcast.
Shit my way, or the highway.
Put the kids to bed, put on your shades, and crack open a cold one during Sports Report After Dark with Seven and Dan the Dick Warner. You can catch After Dark Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, and again Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. We believe that athletes are people too, and Skip Bayless is one of the lizard people. Don't miss Sports Report After Dark. evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Sports Report After Dark. I am your host, Seven. Dan the Dick Warner is waiting in the background so we can get started. I do want to start by giving a special thank you to our sponsor, Gunslinger Soap. Gunslinger Soap is handmade soaps and beard products made without all of the junk to pamper your skin. You can go to their website right now, gunslingersoap.com. and sign up to get 15% off of your first order and always free shipping over $30. That's gunslingersoap.com. Definitely check them out. Also, tonight, since it is my birthday, I am enjoying something very special. It is the Papago Blueberry Wheat from Huss Brewing Company down here in Arizona. You can only get this in Arizona. One of the best beers I've ever had, legitimately. That is not a paid ad. They are not a sponsor of our podcast. Although I would let them if they offered, but that is just a legitimately good beer. So definitely check that out. Bringing in the biggest dick in sports, Dan the Dick Warner. How's it going, buddy? You're on mute, my friend.
I got it. We're good. Sorry about that. Happy birthday, bud.
Thank you, buddy.
I'm such a good friend. I didn't even know it's your birthday.
I intentionally don't have it on Facebook, so you're all right. I'm not.
So you don't get weird messages from your mom's old friends.
Oh, it still happens.
Tony, happy birthday!
It still happens.
Do you feel any older? Do you feel any older?
One of the first messages that I got about my birthday was from one of my mom's old friends. That's a little crazy, but she's also an Aussie fan, so I give her some love. I feel
like there's certain of your mom's old friends that's all that they do is like they track birthdays. Like they just have like a big calendar on their wall.
Maybe that's just something that that's one of the few things you have left to do when you get old is just celebrate other people's birthdays.
Yep, like, and then just going to funerals and birthdays. Like it's just people getting older and then falling off the end of the hill. That's just what most of it is.
You see, that's why I never want to retire because that just sounds super fucking boring. And I like a little chaos in my life.
I'm pretty sure that I'm scheduled to have a massive heart attack at like 46. So I'm not going to make it into that, like into the twilight. It's not really going to happen for me. It's more going to be like
into the twilight.
45 is my twilight.
45. Oh, good God. So we have a lot to talk about tonight, everybody. For those of you that are watching after, definitely check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Sports Report Podcast. We would definitely love to hear your thoughts. Tonight, we're going to start with some basketball stuff, talking some load management, the NBA and player culture with the move with Pat Bev to the Bulls. Also, good news this week, Brittany Griner back in practice after signing her 1-year deal with the Mercury. And Aaron Rodgers came out of his darkness retreat. We're gonna dive into that a little bit and see how many people we can offend. Because that's what we do here.
Brittany Griner
talk a lot of shit.
Brittany Griner fresh off being traded for James Harden.
Fresh off of being traded, yeah. That was definitely some Ben Simmons and earrings looking appearance. And well, I don't disrespect either one of those for the things that they've been through. Like that comparison, like you see those pictures, you're just like, yeah, I get it.
I mean, the closer to a little boy they can look, the more I'm for it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh like, my that's basically
that's hey, that's what they're going for. She nailed it. Good for you, Brittany Griner.
Good for you for being back at practice. Like that's, I mean, especially you used all that time, 2 years in Russian prisons. Like most people don't make it that long.
Right.
Although I would assume that because of the fact that they wanted to make sure that they could get something out of returning her to the U.S., that she was somewhat decently taken care of, and that's why she's able to be back on the court in a few months in practice after a couple of months after getting back in practice. So that's good. I'm happy for her.
Glad she wasn't a prisoner of the moment.
God damn it. Diana Taurasi signed a 1-year deal too as well. So one more year with Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi in Mercury. Got to be Taurasi's last year. Got to be.
I saw a quote from Brittany Griner. She said she wasn't rushing into anything.
Good thing she didn't rush in. That's very positive.
She didn't rush it in any of it. I
She
wonder if
shouldn't feel rushed into the decision at all.
I wonder if her new teammates are gelling well together. Gelling. It's a stretch. Yeah, it's a stretch.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch.
we're just stretching already.
Missed that like Ben Simmons missed free throws, buddy.
Whew.
Just or like a Russell Westbrook 3.
Those are you shouldn't like get a weird butterfly feeling in your stomach before somebody shoots a 3-pointer every single time. Like it shouldn't be like oh, what's gonna happen on this one? Is it gonna hit the side of the backboard? How do you even do that? He's not even in an angle.
Yeah, it's we're gonna be talking about player culture because there's some stuff there with Westbrook leaving LA that I think is going to be important to talk about too. But let's kick off with there's been a big topic recently about load management in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I just want to say to anybody that criticizes a player for, taking some games off to make sure that they're rested, fuck off.
Just go fuck yourself. I mean, so the main argument that they have is that people paid good money to go see certain players, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. And somebody's going to be affected by this regardless, right? These are regular season games. Maybe just go to another one. I mean, I don't like if that's the biggest problem that's happening, like.
And I look at it like this because I see that, and as somebody who doesn't get the chance to go to NBA games very often, I understand that argument because, like, if I were to, if I swindle Stacks into getting me a ticket, give me one of his tickets for that Mavs and Suns game when he comes down to Phoenix for that at the end of March, if I can weasel my way in there and get into that game with him, like if KD's not playing that game or Kyrie's not playing that game because of load management. Like, I'd be pissed.
You're going to be pissed. I mean, imagine if I went to go see LeBron. If I went to go see LeBron and he did that. I mean, there's like, yes, I would be angry about it. But at the same time, like, I understand why it happens. People get on LeBron for it. Like, dude, the guy is fucking 38 years old. Like, he did not do that when he was 28. He wasn't sitting a bunch of games out and shit.
Right. But and the other thing for me is it's like, look at – when you look at Jordan's last 2 seasons when he was playing for the Wizards, Jordan played less minutes per game and did not play a full season in those last 2 years. But the other thing, where I was going with my point, like I'd be pissed if I went to that game and Kyrie or KD were out because of load management and rest. Okay.
Yeah.
But it would be more infuriating for me if the Suns lose in the Western Conference Final because KD got a career-ending injury in that game that he should have been resting.
Right, because he overworked himself, or he's not 100% for the playoffs, and they don't win a title because he played too many regular season games. Because there is too many regular season games. We're looking a lot at the players in this when we should be looking at the fucking owners of the NBA. And why are you playing half of the games that Major League Baseball plays? Basketball is a little bit more contact for one, definitely.
A lot more physical of a game than baseball.
100%. Like just the cardiovascular output during a basketball game is fucking unbelievable. If you're going the whole time and you're playing every game, that is enough to take an athlete like to need the 6 months. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why they have off seasons, because these guys cannot do this year round. This is a lot of output in a short period of time. Every 2 to 3 days doing that kind of shit. And then you have to play an extra 30 games. It wouldn't be 30 games, but like 20, 25 games because you're fucking in the playoffs. Like, it's a lot. They need to cut the regular season down. And obviously I'm saying that because LeBron just got the scoring record. And then if they cut the regular season down, nobody ever breaks the record. I'm obviously saying because of that. But there's other advantages too. Than GOAT James. But But yeah, they need to cut the season back big time. That's why these guys are sitting out. That's why these guys don't play until the second half of the season. Imagine if the season was like half that, 41 games. Imagine the sense of urgency that you have. You know what I'm saying? And how every game means a lot now. Like almost every game means something then. Like that's basically it's 2 games packed into one the whole time. And what league, Tony, uses that to their fucking ultimate advantage and is the most popular sport in the United States right now and has the perfect fucking setup for their season? And that's the NFL. Because 16 games is not a lot of time, and 16 games puts you in races and creates drama by itself because there's not enough, you can't just like make up 3 games very quickly, right? That takes almost a month. Like it's a process. And so every game matters. And that's what they're missing out on is like, do we go revenue or do we go every game matters? I think it would actually be better in the long run for them to go every game matters because most of your money is coming in from TV, right? I mean, so more people are going to watch if it's more urgent, if the guys are playing 100% all the time. And if you stretch it out, you're just causing injuries. Like we're talking about time management or, load management. And it's just, I think it's more on the fucking ownership because they want to make money. They want to make money off of you going to the fucking Dallas game. Right.
So when you think about it like this, so something else, and just for people to understand a closer comparison, I think a closer comparison to the cardiovascular output that's required for basketball instead of baseball, because I don't think that's a fair comparison. It'd be soccer. Okay. Yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo, arguably one of the best soccer players in the world right now, even at 38 years of age, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Averages about 40 games a year.
I was going to say about 35. Yeah. I was going to look it up, but yeah.
That's what I was looking up. I was looking it up, and through his career, he averages about 40 games a year.
Perfect.
And they don't stop near as much as they do in basketball, in soccer, because you only get, if you're lucky, 3 or 4 goals most games.
Right. Well, yeah,
like it's not uncommon for soccer games to end in a 0-0 tie.
So basketball is kind of like the 400 in track, and soccer is like the mile, sort of.
Yeah.
So there's more pacing in soccer. They are stopped for longer, but they are on the floor or on the field the whole time. The pitch, as they would call it.
The pitch, right.
They're on there the whole time, but they're also like away from the ball. They're really not doing a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Like you can take plays off away from the ball the whole time. And LeBron does that in basketball. But like, you can take plays off all the time because you're across the field and it's not going to get there that fast. You can't fucking cross court pass it in soccer. Obviously.
Well, but you still have to be, you can cross it in soccer and it does happen, but it's not an all the time thing. But even in soccer, if the ball's on the other side of the field, there's still things you have to be doing to move yourself into position for if the ball gets cleared your way. Like, and if, something changes and the ball comes your way because somebody just went in and cleared it and they're trying to get it and you've got to try and keep it for your team. So, there's so many different things. So you've got to, with soccer, even if you're not running full bore down the field because you're moving the ball, you're still moving and jogging around.
Right.
And even when you're off the ball, you're still active just like you are in basketball because you're still doing things even when you're not the one getting the ball. So I think there's a comparison there. Are we going to tell Cristiano Ronaldo that he needs to play 45 more games a year before we're going to respect him as an athlete?
Double your fucking games a year.
Double.
Yeah. He'd have to literally probably redo all of his fucking training and everything. It would be like, whoa, we got to focus way more on longevity now. Like way more.
Well, and he's 30. So longevity is an even harder thing to maintain at this point, not just in soccer, but in any sport.
Ronaldo's been on the downside. He hasn't been Ronaldo for how many years now? Probably 5 years or so. I'm not a real close football follower.
He's still up there, but he's on the decline. But I would say, like I said, I wouldn't call him the top soccer player anymore. I would say he's still up there. He's kind of, like LeBron is the best basketball player ever, but he's not the best basketball player in the league right now.
No.
So, and I think that's kind of the same thing. Is like he's up there, but he's not the top dog anymore.
Right. They're definitely kind of at the same level at 38.
Yeah,
right.
I would say kind that's of like, pretty fair. Yeah, and because you haven't really seen too much of a decline from Ronaldo, just like you haven't really seen much of a decline from LeBron. You can just see that, yeah, definitely 38.
LeBron's probably the 7th or 8th best player in the NBA. On any given night, can still be the best player in the NBA, but isn't consistently the best. Like he's probably 7 or 8 to 10.
Right.
Which, if you think about it, there's only like 6 guys. Like 6 are the best dudes. I mean, the 6 guys is not, that's not a whole big list for the NBA. There's a lot of guys that are fucking really good. Right. So that'd be a very short list in front of him. That would include obviously Luka Doncic, Antetokounmpo, Embiid, Jokic, probably, obviously.
Jokic. He's actually I think Jokic is making an argument for another MVP.
They cannot give him three MVPs.
Let's say I don't think it's going to happen, but but kudos to him for at least keeping himself in the discussion.
He's like 7-foot Slovakian Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I don't think he's an MVP, but I think it's spectacular that he has played well enough to keep himself in that conversation.
I think he's definitely a regular season MVP for sure. I think that he carries that team during the fucking regular season to the playoffs. Like I think he literally almost single-handedly does it. He is the most valuable player. We've talked about this. He's the most valuable player in the NBA. Has been the last 2 years, probably is this year. By
the definition of the award, because you take him off of Denver, there's no way they're that good of a team.
He kind of Aaron Judged it this year.
Yeah.
Or the last couple of years, he's kind of Aaron Judged it a little bit. Even though I'm still, we won't get into it, but I'm a little on your fence. I think that you downgrade the rest of the team a little bit, because I think the rest of the Yankees are better than the rest of the Nuggets. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I'll give you that. Especially, I mean, Josh Donaldson's not the best third baseman, but they're certainly not the one of the worst in the league.
Serviceable.
He's a serviceable mid-tier.
Mid-tier
third baseman.
A lot of Ks.
I mean, but you get a lot of Ks out of Aaron Judge. It's just what happens when you don't get a K that Aaron Judge shows that he's worth 300 million. 400, I think.
But
say like 390, something like that.
Last year he didn't strike out that much. He was about middle of the road.
He did get better at that. No, you're right. Yeah. He did.
He was very selective. I know we're talking about Aaron Judge now, but like he was very selective at the plate.
But with load management, like in basketball or in baseball, you don't have pitchers start every day anymore or every other day because you're not going to get any longevity out of their arm with the reliability and everything. Even with Tommy John, you don't want a pitcher, even a young pitcher, on a super short rest for a long outing. Like it's not reasonable because you're going to blow out their arm.
How much? I actually have a question for you about that. How much of that is about? And this kind of goes over all sports. Like how much of that is about against replacement as well? Do you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want any pitcher in Major League Baseball. If you have a good 1-2 starting pitchers, you don't want your 1 back-to-back days. You would rather have your 1 and your 2 back-to-back days or every other day, right? You wouldn't want to do just the better guy both days because then he's not going to be as good the second day, right? Exactly. So like how much of it is about like them keeping a quality of like standard too? Well, there's so many good dudes that are good.
And also when you have those rotating players like that in baseball, it changes up the look because if you've got Trevor Bauer who needs to be on a fucking team, and I think it's bullshit that he's not signed yet.
He's gonna look good in pinstripes.
Let's say you have Trevor Bauer and we use my favorite young kid from the Braves, Spencer Strider. Let's say you've got Bauer and Strider as your 1-2, just arbitrarily here for a second. Bauer's fastball looks different than Strider's.
Right.
Bauer's curve looks different than Strider's. Their changeups look different. And their releases, their deliveries, they look different. And so it changes up what you see. And so, yes, longevity is a piece of it, but it also adds a different aspect to the game. And I think that if you manage load management correctly and you build your teams up enough, the fact that you only want to play KD 65 to 70 games in the regular season because you want to make sure he's fresh for the postseason isn't as big of a deal, because those guys that you've got in your depth still keep your team consistent. You don't expect to win every game when your studs are out, but you should at least be still in them. And if you build up the quality of your team, you're fine. Like the fact that Lakers have a couple of older players, like Bron specifically, Bron taking a night off wouldn't be as big of a deal if they had KD.
If they had a supporting cast at all, really. That's a really good point, though.
But, if you have a good supporting cast, load management isn't that big of a deal, because you don't not every team has somebody that's such a generational talent that if they aren't there when you go to see them play, there's no value in seeing them play. Most of it, it's team. Right. Like the Bulls there's nobody on the Bulls that is as important to that organization now as Jordan was back in the 90s. And think about, there's not a guy on the Bulls you would absolutely want to see play either. You know what I'm saying? Like if one guy, if like the best player on the Bulls, I'm not even sure who it is now. They're pretty close at the top there. At the middle top. It's definitely DeMar DeRozan, probably. Yeah. Still, I would think,
but like if he's not playing, you're not going to be like fucking broken up about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like, okay, right. Well, yeah, I'd like to see DeMar DeRozan, but like there's certain guys that obviously it's a different kind of thing, because they're.
Look at the Suns. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use my team as an example, because like if I get to go to a Suns game, am I going to be unhappy if KD or Ayton or Devin Booker isn't playing? Absolutely. Because I want to see those three together. But at the same time, the Suns have enough talent and depth and enough cohesion as a team that I'm not going to see a shitty basketball game. And so while I'm going to be disappointed about the absence of Kyrie or Ayton or, Book or whoever, that I'm still going to get to watch a good basketball game. I'm not going to be as disappointed as I was. Now, if your team's product is falling apart, i.e. Denver with Jokic isn't on the court, Denver's fucking useless.
Pretty much.
Just fucking useless. Yeah. And so it's super noticeable when he takes a day off. And here's the thing. I'm not mad at Jokic for taking a day off. If I'm a Nuggets fan, I'm mad at the front office for screwing me over, because I'm investing my money into a ticket to see them play. And because Jokic needs a night off, which we all need nights off from work just to, stay fresh. Like it's not just about the actual days off. There's every once in a while you need a surprise. Hey, I just need a day. These guys are human and deserve that shit too. But if Jokic just needs a day, who gives a fuck if the Nuggets are playing? You might as well forfeit.
And kind of what you're saying too, like, right. And kind of what you're saying too is like, if they don't play, then you have a situation where, like with Jokic, yes, that's a huge deal. I would want to see Jokic, and for the Suns, I would want to see Kevin Durant. Honestly, anywhere Kevin Durant goes, you want to see Kevin Durant. But like, anywhere he goes. But there's a couple of guys like that. But otherwise than that, there's really not. Like obviously, if Jokic, because then there's nothing left of the team. But you also have to be mad at the front office and their owners for making it 82 games in the first place, because I don't think Jokic would have to take a game off of his 41 games. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, very rarely, unless he's hurt.
Right. Yeah, but honestly, I don't even know that you need to go down to 41. Cut the season to 60 games.
65. Yeah, me and Zach talking about like 65 games. To 62.
There's go with an odd number of games just to add add to make it interesting instead of even. More of a chance that you're going to have at least one game separation between teams. That way you don't have to deal with, less chance of a tie situation.
And if you're worried about all-time records, like Bron's scoring record or any of the records, like basically not ever being broken, bullshit, because have you seen the scoring in the NBA now? It's like 80s style. Like it's like fucking 130 all the time. Like they run and gun, they score more points.
Especially early in the regular season, there's so much less defense. You don't really see a lot of defense in the NBA until the postseason. That's why you don't see any in the the way the NBA is going truly for regular season games is like what we got in the All-Star game. What was that, 184 to 181 or some shit like that? 179.
It's not that bad, but yes.
That's realistically things are starting to move in that direction. because when you play defense, you have to get more physical, just like with any other sport. And players don't want to get hurt.
Just hang in there for the first half of the season. You know what I'm saying?
Let them coast for the first half of the season, and then you get about 45 games in, and that's when you start getting some more verticality. You're warming up a little bit more before the game so you can jump. And then by game 60, you're just,
I think they're all warming up for sure, because I think those young guys are fucking chomping at the bit, knowing that those older guys are just not, like they're basically going to get a lot of like lessened rosters. They're going to get weaker rosters in which they can take advantage of that they wouldn't be able to take advantage of if there was 40 games and everybody was playing every night. You know what I'm saying? So those young guys are just chomping at the bit for it. And that's not good, because then you get unrealistic expectations of what a player is. You know what I'm saying?
Think about, and you think about guys like LeBron and KD, who are so skilled and talented that their teams end up in the postseason at practically every year. And the postseason, when you make it to the finals, like LeBron did, almost every year,
10 consecutive years.
10 consecutive years, LeBron was in the finals.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
or 11 out of 12.
Postseason, for the postseason, you're looking at another 21 games, 25 games, somewhere in there, right?
At least. I mean,
so
4 series, pretty much.
For all of the series, we're thinking wild card playing, whatever. Yeah, 20 to 25 games, right?
Yeah.
So that's every 3 years that you make the postseason and get to the finals. That's basically another season. So at 11 out of the 12 years, he makes the conference or the NBA finals. That's like playing 15 years after 12.
So we're going to do 1,411. So 1,411 divided by 82, I guess, would be how you would calculate LeBron. So whatever that is, I wish these computers had calculators on them.
1,411 divided by 82.
Yeah,
that's 17. Basically, a little over 17 seasons.
That doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, because of the time that he's missed for load management.
Right.
So he's in what, year 18?
20.
Year 20? Okay,
yeah.
So
he's missed basically. I think he's basically missed. I think what they're doing is, I think I'm seeing career regular season games. I don't think I'm seeing. Yes, that's definitely what it is. I'm seeing regular season games. I'm not seeing playoff games. So here, playoff games. Let's add another. Oh, here we go. Hang on.
So we got 1411.
266.
266. Okay, so that's 1677 divided by 82. That's 20 and a half seasons. So even with load management, he's exactly where he should be for the number of games played because of the postseason. And most players, there's a lot of players that in their entire career don't see the postseason more than 4 or 5 times.
If that, yeah.
And they don't play 15 years. So that's what we're talking about, the wear and tear on a body like LeBron's, like a body like KD's, somebody that is a prolific long-term player going above the average of playing 10 years in a professional sport, which is even 10 years is unheard of, even in the NBA.
Yep.
Unless you're a top 3 guy on a team consistently. Right?
Yep.
That's absolutely right. Like, okay. So
average
now keep it within reason. Keep it within reason. And NBA teams need to go ahead and now for season ticket holders, guess what? You're paying for the whole season. You're already getting a discount. So guess what? You're not getting anything special. But like, if I go buy a regular season game ticket for the Suns and KD and Book are going to be out, That's the reason I'm going to the game.
I'd be
okay.
pissed.
So next home game, I get tickets of a similar value. If I want to swap them out, and they still get to keep their money. I'm not getting a refund.
Yeah.
Or maybe, you know, you don't charge a change fee because you still want the fan to come to the game, and that opens up the seat for that game so somebody else can get it.
Do they do that?
They should.
That's what like StubHub does.
I think that's a great counter to it to lessen the. That's what I'm saying. Is I think if you do something like that, where when you're buying single game tickets, if I, you know, earlier in the season I bought Suns Mavs because I had a feeling it was going to be a big game, and then, you know, because of, you know, obviously in a big game like that, typically there's not going to be load management. But let's say for some reason they realize that they have to. Okay.
Yeah.
And so KD and Book aren't going to play.
Well, I like KD. That's like a combination of the two.
KD.
Caillou?
Oh God, that fucking show.
It's Canada, bro.
But KD and Book aren't going to play because of load management.
I'm Canada.
Yeah, go ahead and switch your ticket out.
Right. And
go ahead and switch your ticket out because we'd rather you come to that game and open this up for somebody that just wants to be able to go. They don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. Maybe it's an opposing team's fan that gets that ticket. But guess what? That's still money being spent in the stadium that the team earns. Who gives a fuck? Sorry.
Right. And you're still looking at 90-10 at least. Home to like, away crowd. It doesn't matter.
Unless you're like, with the exception of a big name team in a small town or in a small market arena, like the Lakers going into the Magic or
Oklahoma City,
the Lakers going into Charlotte or Oklahoma City, something like that. Like, it's always going to be your team. Like
whoever owns the Charlotte Hornets, by the way, is a fucking wow. That guy
got to be
not a great owner. Not a great owner. Seems like he gambles
not really,
a lot.
Doesn't really, and despite somebody being an owner of a basketball team should know, like, you would think if you're investing that much money and time into owning a basketball team, you would think that you would work on developing a good coaching staff and quality players. But Charlotte just misses consistently. They should really look at bringing in Michael Jordan. Maybe he has a great enough basketball mind.
I mean, how could he not? Honestly, like,
seriously,
can you imagine him as he'd probably be the best owner ever. Like, I can't imagine the team
especially
that he
with his
owns.
Experience and all the years that he spent playing basketball. Imagine him as an owner. Like, he would build the best team. He could probably find the next LeBron James.
I'll tell you what they definitely wouldn't do, Tony, is they wouldn't be in the cellar of the NBA for 20 consecutive years. I'll tell you that much.
With Jordan as the owner, exactly. There's no way. There's no
way. I mean, he did so many good things as a player. You would think that as an owner, he would just be so much better than that. And like, I think that he would be. If he could hypothetically own a team.
Yeah.
If he definitely hypothetically own a team.
Hypothetically, because there's no way they'd give that big of a former player the chance to own a team because he would just embarrass everybody else because of his knowledge of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, why would he would just play probably too, right? I mean, he could still play.
I'm sure.
Probably.
He's 60 now? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you would think theoretically.
Man, it would be great if Jordan owned a team. Maybe one day it'll happen.
Somebody look into that.
Somebody should definitely look into that. But load management, like, it's as long as it's reasonable and teams are willing to give a little back, concede a little bit to the fans in that regard, to make the deal reasonable and the experience reasonable, so it's not as much of a blow. Not everybody's going to be happy like that. And that's the truth but that's the thing is a player could play all 82 games, make it all the way through this postseason. They win the finals, and there are still going to be people that just aren't happy.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at Kansas City Super Bowl parade. There were a bunch of people that just weren't happy about the fact that the guys were celebrating their Super Bowl drinking on the parade route. Really?
What?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Or the people, there was 107 complaints to the FCC about the Super Bowl halftime show saying that it was too sexual.
She was wearing full clothing that entire time. I don't even remember any like sexual gestures really.
I mean, yeah,
obviously there's
asses,
gyrating,
but
there's gyrating. It's a hip hop music. What are we expecting? This it's R&B and it's hip hop and it's pop. I mean, what the fuck is going on?
What it was is it was a pregnant woman that was still enjoying herself and being a beautiful person and enjoying herself on a national stage. That was the problem.
She should be at home.
Supposed to be miserable at home.
She should be at home
in the kitchen
cooking my meatloaf. God damn it!
I'd let Rihanna make me some meatloaf.
I mean, yeah, we would do something with meatloaf for sure.
She can make me whatever the fuck she wants. She just cook me some scrambled eggs, and I'd
probably terrible. It's probably just terrible, and I'd be like, no, Rihanna, this is really good.
I'd be willing to bet she probably takes care of herself some, like most of those people do. They have help, but that's most of them. There's no value in having a live-in chef for the most part.
Oh God, no. Well, I mean, when you have just that amount of money, though, like I'm pretty sure it doesn't even matter. Like you're not even seeing seeing your finances at that point, are you? Like you're like, yeah, I have a lot of money, and somebody's like, how much money do you have exactly? Though, do you know? No, not really. Not really. It's a lot. It's like enough that I don't need to worry about how much I have.
Yes. Rihanna is one of those individuals that has fuck you money, but I would still let her make me scrambled eggs, even as horrible as they might taste, if she can. As long as she just sang to me the whole time. Like it's not even like, don't get me wrong, I think she's a beautiful woman. Not even anything sexual. Like I just want to listen to her sing while she makes me some scrambled eggs. Like that's
just.
I'm not trying to be weird.
Yeah, it's getting. I mean, we're bordering on Freud's mother theory, but yes, we'll let that one go because God damn it, that Freud was a fucking smart motherfucker, wasn't he? My mom used to cook bacon. My mom used to cook bacon naked. She would cook bacon all day long. Oh, it's so fucked up.
Anyway, but yeah, I like the idea of load management as long as you're reasonable about it. It's perfectly reasonable that a player needs to take time off. You don't see it in the NFL because there's 17 games. You play 17 games of the season. It's a lot easier because it's a lot easier to manage the stress of an injury or a nagging issue in the NFL because you're really only putting true stress on it for 3 hours a week. The rest of the time you can be. That's one of the reasons why Patrick Mahomes' high ankle sprain was so much easier for him to recover. Yeah, it was still hurting when he was in the Super Bowl, especially after that fucking Gator tackle that I know was intentional.
Of course it was. I would have done the same thing.
But that's the game. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because he can literally spend his entire time rehabbing and working with doctors and doing different things that he's able to get the 3 hours of function out of it that he needs. Every other professional sport plays far more frequently than that. So we have to be reasonable and allow these human beings the chance to take care of their bodies, because I would much rather have Devin Booker play 65 games during the regular season, have him healthy and energetic for the postseason, and see the NBA finals every 3 years, than have Devin Booker playing 82 games a year, getting injured in the last 10 games of the season, and not having him for the postseason almost every year because he keeps getting injured. Like, allow his muscles time to heal so that he doesn't injure. When you load manage, you reduce the injury risk because everything has time to fucking heal. Like, it's not complicated.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these guys, including Patrick Mahomes, get a week off at the end almost all the time because they're going into the playoffs, right? So they're already in the playoffs. So a lot of time, week 17 or 18 now, they aren't playing, right? It'd be 19 because of the bye, I guess.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is, like, they'll do that in the NFL. Like, if you don't need to play your starters the last week of the season, you don't, or they may only play a quarter or a half.
And what's the percentage on that? Like that's they're basically playing 94% of their games. I bet the percentage for dudes that take load management in the NBA is about the same. If you take 5 out of 82, that's about somewhere in that range too, right?
Yeah.
So like percentage wise, they're kind of taking the same. I mean, yes, it's more games, obviously. So obviously it's more games whole, but percentage wise, it's kind of the same thing if you're taking the last week off, but then they have to play the playoffs, so on and so forth. There's guys who aren't even fucking going to make the playoffs who are fucking load managing and shit. I think Kawhi does it just to be fucking piss people off.
Oh, is that what he calls all of his injuries now? Load management?
Absolutely. The claw.
Oh, okay.
He got paid and quit, bro. And he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it like as upfront as other guys do because there was too much, like the Clippers were counting on him too much. Do you know what I'm saying? So he had to like kind of tiptoe his way through it. Now that he's old enough, I don't think he even cares anymore. I think he's like, yeah, he absolutely got paid and didn't really like, he just kind of quit. And I mean, like I've said on the show, I do the same thing. I'd be taking that $200 million and doing what I wanted to do. I'm not coming to work tomorrow.
You think Russell Westbrook is going to light a fire under him?
No. I think Kawhi's personality won't allow him to even be like excited by Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's too cool.
And this gives us the ability to transition into our next topic, I think, because we've got Westbrook going to the Clippers and Pat Bev going to the Bulls. Player culture, not just in the NBA, but in any professional sports team, matters. And when you don't take that into consideration with the guys that, or with the athletes that you bring in, you set yourself up for failure.
Do you know what the Jordan, and I'm basically going to center on the Russell Westbrook thing because I think it's the most prominent one, honestly, because that went on for like what 2 years almost, where
right.
that was a weird thing in LA. I'm going to say it like hold your nose. I'm going to say something about LeBron bad. That can be used against me in any like actual. Sorry, my dogs are fighting each other and they're freaking out. But they're just like crazy. But that can be used against LeBron James as like, I don't think that it's like it is a toxic to some guys locker room because literally the dude just gets whatever he wants. You should already know that coming in that if you're on a team with LeBron James, you're not going to be you're not the guy who runs the show as far as like anything really, because that's just kind of an accepted thing at this point. And it does rub some guys the wrong way. I could see immediately, everybody could see how it was going to bother Russell Westbrook. He's an alpha, obviously. There's a dog, as Stacks Doug, but his fucking Pat McAfee impression is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, guys, hey Stacks, it's fantastic. But
it is fantastic.
It is good. He watches way too much Pat McAfee show. Basically, is what it is. He's now emulated the guys who do emulations. But yeah, no. But LeBron's it's a toxic environment for some. It rubs people the wrong way because they go in there and go, "Whoa, this is way fucking different than any team I've ever played for." Like, there's it's very centered on LeBron because it's not him doing it though. We've talked about this. It's not even him doing it at that point. I mean, yes, he's not shying away from it. Let's be honest.
Right, but it's just because of who he is, it just happens.
Yes, and he plays into it 100%. And I'll agree with that all the way down the line. But like, there's got to be something for him to play into in the first place. Like J.R. Smith couldn't have came into those Cleveland locker rooms and just acted like LeBron the whole time because nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody cares. And so like it does rub people the wrong way. That's why Russ left. There's many reports like I actually thought Patrick Beverley's. Did you hear that quote about him leaving? Stacks had it on the show. To paraphrase, he basically says like I don't think that certain guys should get certain things, and I don't even think he's talking about LeBron. Like I think he's talking about AD too, because I think AD tries to like ride that fucking LeBron train hardcore. And I think, you know what I'm saying? So I think AD's just as big of a problem because I think AD tries to like act like he's on that level because he is obviously a superstar and he gets paid a lot of money.
And I think the issue with AD in that culture for me and just again as an observer and certainly closer to casual fan than you, like guys like you and Stacks. For me, it looks like because like we've talked multiple times, not just here but on Sports Report and on Hardwood about how the expectation is the AD should be the leader on that team.
Right. Should be floor leader for sure.
He should be the floor leader on that team. But it's LeBron that does everything because you can't rely on Anthony Davis. Like, are you going to get the 35-point game Anthony Davis, or are you going to get the 15-point game Anthony Davis?
Right.
You know what I mean? But Anthony Davis gets, because of being tapped by LeBron, Anthony Davis gets some of those same benefits that LeBron gets, when in reality, because of his unreliability, it's not hard to argue, or it's not hard to stop and think about it. If someone asks a question, does Anthony Davis deserve it?
Oh, those guys are poking holes in that fucking Anthony Davis theory the whole time they're there.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's my point. And I think that because like we all know that Pat Bev is a shit disturber. Like, in hockey terms, he's your enforcer.
Yes.
And
but like a really small one.
He's that angry little kid that talks shit, will swing on anybody, but looks like he could break like a twig.
And he's definitely going to get his ass kicked, but he's still going to swing on you, which is enough.
Like he's going to go down swinging. And mad respect to the guys that are like that don't have any fear in that regard.
Patrick
you have Pat Bev on your team for that reason, because he's a dog. Like, I'm not disrespecting him. He's earned his spot in the NBA.
Yes.
But when you have a guy whose job is to be the mental side of the team, seeing the flaw in this plan, because you have Westbrook, who shouldn't have been there, LeBron, who has to carry the team, even though he shouldn't at 38, and is playing more minutes per game and scoring more points per game than Jordan, but nobody wants to talk about that. They just went, oh, Jordan would never. Jordan didn't. That's the thing. Jordan didn't.
Didn't have the capability to. Let's clarify that even further.
And then you got the person who's supposed to be the floor general in LA in one Anthony Davis, who is as unreliable as Jamie Lee Curtis's poop before she started doing those yogurt commercials. Like, it's the first thing I could think of.
No, I get it.
But that's the thing, is it's like
visual.
You should be able to rely on a guy like Anthony Davis. You should be able to rely on a guy like Zion Williamson. You should be able to rely on a guy like Ben Simmons. But you can't. And these other guys that are supposed to be around them get frustrated because they see it. They see that you can't, and they're all around it all the time enough that they see exactly why. We can speculate why Ben Simmons' demons are keeping him from his true potential. We can speculate why street clothes is street clothes, or Kawhi is only at 11,000 points in his career.
The Claw.
We can speculate, but these guys actually have to be there every day. And so they see the bullshit that we don't, and they know it. Like, I would be legitimately interested with, like, I'm going to sidetrack real quick on one thing with this. Shady McCoy, the comments about Eric Bieniemy. Now,
what were those real quick?
So he was on ESPN and basically saying that, the Commanders shouldn't get distracted by the success of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. He doesn't think that EB is head coach material. And he doesn't think that EB is as good of an OC as that people believe he is. And you've seen a lot of current and former Chiefs that have come to EB's defense. And so I think that says something. And while I know that Shady is one that has a penchant for wanting to get attention on himself, and he's not one that's, he's kind of like Skip Bayless, and he'd rather have the take that people disagree with so that he gets the interaction than to speak the complete truth, because everybody's already saying it. So he doesn't mind being that one that's going to be like, yeah, no, EB doesn't deserve it. I would be legitimately interested to actually hear him truthfully break down why he believes that, if he does. How much time as a running back do you spend working with that OC?
A
lot. So
yeah,
if he truly believes that EB isn't head coach material, isn't a good OC, truly break it down for me, bro. Like, show me what it is, because it's easier for us as fans that frequent the game to see why Nathaniel Hackett didn't work in Denver. it's easy for us as fans to see why Josh McDaniels is a dog shit coach in Las Vegas and Derek Carr was punished because of it. Like
Right.
it's easy for us to see that, but when it's not as easy, show me.
Right.
Like
you're just telling him to go further, like go in depth about his answer instead of just like throwing it out there and then not giving any reasons towards why that is.
When Dave Chappelle came back to comedy, everybody, there really still wasn't very much of an understanding about why he walked away from a $50 million deal from Comedy Central. Remember?
Yes, absolutely.
And then his first special hit Netflix. His first special hits Netflix. And he starts talking about it near the end. And he doesn't say exactly what happens. But he tells a story that basically tells us what happens.
Yeah.
And you can still draw your own inferences. And there are some things that are probably a little bit creative liberally for comedy and for personal emotion with the situation, because as creators, we all do stuff like that.
I was going to say just natural bias.
It happens, but it's not hard when you watch that special that Dave Chappelle did, his first special coming back, to figure out that from his perspective, Comedy Central was taking advantage of him the whole time.
Yep.
Just plain
and not paying him for his work.
And not properly. Like it wasn't until recently he was actually started to get paid for Chappelle's show again. And it's syndication. And being up on Netflix and shit. Like, really? What is arguably one of the best sketch comedy shows of all time, arguably, especially for our generation and the impact that it had on comedy, why was he not getting paid for his work? It doesn't make sense to me.
Dude, he did that show during COVID where he literally, like, the entire time, he almost doesn't even do a routine. He literally is talking about how people should boycott the Chappelle show, his own show, on if they're watching it on any Comedy Central, because they had to watch it on some kind of a Comedy Central platform. And he basically just says, like, don't watch it if it's on Comedy Central. Like, just ask people not to watch his own show. And it's like, that is fucking eye-opening. Like, that's like, oh shit, these guys really fucked him over bad. If he's like, he's telling you not to watch his own, like, his show that he created. Like, don't watch it because they're getting the money for it.
That is part of the reason he is the level he's at today. Don't get me wrong. Dave Chappelle is a very talented fucking comedian and one of my influences as a comic.
Probably the GOAT.
I would say he's up there. It's
GOAT conversation.
It's GOAT conversation. I would say realistically that it's not hard to take a look at some other comics that are up there and start to argue about 1 through 3, but there's pretty consistently some certain individuals that are all just up in that conversation. It's just a matter of who's in that order.
Really quickly, who's on your Mount Rushmore?
My Mount Rushmore of comedy would have to be obviously Chappelle, Carlin, Pryor, and Robin Williams.
That's a good one. I honestly agree with Pryor. I agree with Chappelle, Carlin. I would go Louis C.K. 3, and then I think Louis C.K. is on it. Honestly, I must get consent. But and then probably honestly Bill Hicks. I think Bill Hicks is up there for me.
But that's the thing is just in top 10 comics, you can Bill Hicks, Rodney Dangerfield,
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy's going to be up there.
May not be your style, but
right. I mean, Eddie Murphy's going to be up there. Red Fox has to be in that conversation.
And if we're going for production, Larry the Cable Guy has got to be in the top 10. If we're going for production,
consistency,
Kevin Hart.
I mean,
little dude with the
Chris
hair.
Rock,
I can't remember his name for some reason. Chris Rock. What's the guy's name? God damn it! Why can't I think? He always wears nice suits and shit. He's short. I can't think of his fucking name. Wears the nice like purple suits and shit with his he's got like a perm.
Oh, Cat Williams.
Cat Williams. There you go. Yeah, sorry.
Cat
I don't think
Williams,
he's in like. He's up there.
Yeah, I mean he's up there. I mean, but that's the thing is there's comedy. Like that's one of the things that I think because of the fact that comedy is subjective, it's a lot harder for there to be a comedy goat. Like,
Right.
I think that there are certain individuals that we can all agree are top tier, like the four that I mentioned, the ones that you mentioned. I don't think anybody. It's Louis C.K. is one where it's a little harder to argue because of the controversies that surrounds his name. Bill Cosby. There are a lot of people that, despite the issues that Bill Cosby had when he was in his prime, he was a great comic. As a comic, I'm not talking about Cosby as a person. Cosby is a comic, super fucking talented.
Was a legend in his profession.
Absolute comedy legend.
So is Kevin Spacey.
But, he's not a comedy legend, more of a
no. I mean, you know what I mean. Like in their profession, they're legends. But outside of that,
acting legend, amazing villain.
Michael Jordan, basketball legend. Got to separate the profession from the personal life.
From the personal life, right? Yeah,
yeah.
Piece of shit person, but amazing basketball legend. You know, and so. But that's the thing. Culture, but going back to what we're talking about, culture on a team matters. And so you're the Clippers. You're bringing Russell Westbrook in because you're trying to make something happen. But I mean, he's not the face of that culture. It's Kawhi and Paul George. Russell Westbrook is still number 3 on that team. It's no different than where he was when his locker room was on the other side of the stadium.
And I think that's probably good for him. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know if him going to like Orlando or somewhere, like I say Orlando, but you know what I mean? Like Oklahoma City kind of, where he's the guy. That's not good for him at this point.
No.
Yeah, that's not good for him at this point in his career. He's a fucking excellent sixth man. We said that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
We said that from the very beginning. Like, why is he not just providing energy off the bench? Like, that's literally, he's so perfect for it. So perfect.
His time with the Lakers would have been looked at more favorably if he came off the bench last season.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He would have had a fucking, he would have had an absolutely different year. People was, because he was starting.
He could have been 6th man of the year last year.
He was held to such a different standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were holding him to Oklahoma City standard Russ. And it's like, no. I mean, that's just because he starts, not still Russ. Yeah.
The standard should on Russell Westbrook, and that's the thing is I will say, as much as I have even, we have criticized Russell Westbrook with the issues that they've had in LA and the things that he's done. The truth of the matter is the standards on Russell Westbrook should not have been the same as they were in Oklahoma City.
No, clearly not the guy. And that changes your style of play too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely,
he became a completely different player. So you can't just go, oh, he's going to do the same things he did in Oklahoma City. No, he's not going after every rebound like he was. He was going after everything Oklahoma City. He was just a fucking he was a Tasmanian devil, just spinning around out there getting fucking rebounds and shit.
But there's a difference between when you change, when you think about when you change jobs. You go from working at a spot where you may not be the guy, but you're one of those people that knows the role, knows the day, knows what's going on. You're one of the veterans.
Right.
And then you change to somewhere where you are not the veteran. Even if you kind of know the industry, you kind of know the job, in that new place, you're not the veteran.
And you feel like you're kind of trying to prove it the whole time. Like, I just did this for 10 years,
And you get frustrated, but you get frustrated because you have to prove it.
Yes. Shouldn't have to.
You can't just, you can't just say, hey, I did this for 10 years over here. And people are like, oh, okay. Well, guess what? You may have done it for 10 years over there, but this is how we do it here. Because the culture and the scheme and the processes and everything is different at each team, just like it is when you change jobs. If you go from working from Subway to Burger King, you've been making sandwiches for 5 years. That's great. We make sandwiches differently over here.
Right.
Right.
This ain't Quiznos no more.
Fried chicken. I've been making fried chicken at home since I was 10 years old. But I learned, but when I went to work at KFC, guess what? I had to learn some new shit.
The Colonel's secret recipe is not within you. It will be.
But
we'll make it like the Colonel made it.
There is, the expectation should have been reasonable considering the change. But also they should have been smart enough to last year say, hey, Russ, we're going to bring you in, but you're playing the 6th man.
Also, can we just point out Genie with everyone bus is like she is a terrible, terrible runner of an organization.
Terrible owner.
She's really bad. Like, she's really bad. And I think it gets shied away from because she's a woman, unfortunately. Like, I feel like people can't say that. This has nothing to do with her being Jeannie Buss. This literally has to do with her just being fucking horrible at her job. Like, I don't think it even matters.
The criticism, but that's the thing is to not criticize Jeannie Buss for being a shitty owner because she's a woman is the same as criticizing her just because she's a woman, in my eyes.
Yes, it absolutely is.
And I understand that when you have it's harder for a female owner in sports. It's harder to get to that point than it is for a white male.
It's being an asshole politely.
Right. But at the same time, I don't care who owns my team. Like, the standards that I have for the Suns are the same under Matt Ishbia as they were under Robert Sarver. I want a competitive team that should be making it to the finals and finally getting the Suns their first their first NBA finals. Because they have all of the pieces, especially now with KD. They have all of the pieces that they need to win a title.
Right.
And it is up to the ownership and the front office to make sure that team is built with that goal in mind and with everybody in a scheme that works for them and with personalities that don't clash. That's why certain teams don't draft certain players that they need, or they don't sign certain free agents that they need, because that player's personality will not fit into the culture. And if it doesn't fit with the culture, you're setting yourself up for failure if you do it anyway. A la Russell Westbrook in LA.
It's that 2K mentality where you make your team on NBA 2K and all their stats are in 99s and stuff like that. Well, they don't have a personality. They probably do now, but it doesn't actually make any difference. They don't have a personality. In real life, the personality thing would be like 4/5 of all the ratings would be personality, would be workmanship, gets along with others, shares the ball. All these things that matter to who they are as a person would be a huge fraction of their actual attributes, correct? But people see it from like on paper. Well, fucking on paper, dude. On paper, dude, the Lakers look really good. Like, on paper, yes, they look really good. In reality, whole different thing.
Look, okay. Albert Einstein, theoretical physicist, an absolutely insanely intelligent, bright mind. Wouldn't it be great to have a mind like Albert Einstein working up in the space station? Think about where you're completely immersed in that 24/7, and that's all you can do. But the problem is, if you send Einstein up there without making sure that Einstein is going to be able to, be in the environment with the other individuals that are going to be up in the space station, because obviously he's not there alone. If they're not going to mesh well, it's going to be a lot harder to get things done, and you're going to have a lot harder time managing your team that's in the space station if they don't all get along.
Bro, to your point,
you're not going to get as much done.
If you can get Einstein not to have a fucking complete mental and emotional breakdown the minute he realizes he's in fucking space, that's a start. You know what I'm saying? So, like, in the same regard, if you can get Russell Westbrook to not have a complete fucking emotional and psychiatric breakdown from realizing he plays for the Lakers in the first place, that's a fucking success, right? So that didn't happen, I guess. So we can look at the glass half full side here and go, he didn't, freak out and try and hurt himself. Like, because right.
But
Einstein would have.
But that's the thing is I think that there are so many times that fans and even sports writers lose sight of the fact that these individuals are human and they need to be allowed to be human. It's like we were talking about with load management. These guys need a day off. These guys need to have coworkers that they can mesh with. When you go for a job interview, especially in an entry-level position, a majority of the things that you need to know in an entry-level job, they can teach you in a few weeks.
Yes.
What they need to know is that you have the personality type that's going to mesh well with the supervisor that you're probably going to end up with. That you're going to have the personality that works well with the team of individuals that you're going to be interacting with on a daily basis. Because I can teach you how to sell insurance. But if you're not going to have the personality where you can work with the other individuals around you and work with me to learn what you need to learn to sell insurance, then even though I can teach you to sell insurance, it's going to be hard for you to learn how to sell insurance because you don't fit with the culture of my company.
Yes, because you're not in an optimal working environment. Do you remember the movie Waiting, where Ryan Reynolds is talking to the trainee?
I was just talking to my son about that movie today. That's such a good fucking movie.
It's so good. Ryan Reynolds is talking to the trainee, and it's Mitch, the trainee. They don't let him talk most of the whole movie. And he's like, he literally asked him, he's like, "Aren't you going to show me what's on the computer?" And he goes, no. He goes, "All of this can be learned in a few hours." And then he goes, "The penis game." And he it's literally into like a different, you know what I'm saying? Like he's just like, yeah, no, all of that stuff. That's just technical shit that you can learn. Like you need to learn who you're here with is exactly what you're talking about. It's the penis showing game.
You've worked in a restaurant just like I have. It is more about knowing who you work with because the menu, the computer system, or if you're working in the back, what dishes you're cooking, how to prep the food, that's inconsequential. But knowing that, knowing that you can work with that guy that's back on the grill while you're in expo, and you know that if you say, "Hey, give me a medium rare steak," you don't have to cut it open to see that it's medium rare. If he hands you and says, "Hey, this is a medium rare steak," you know it's a medium rare steak. It's a completely different thing.
Or he's not going to snap out on you and make fucking jokes about how you're slave driving him and telling him to do shit because you're not his fucking boss, like that kind of stuff. Like just nuance. Right. It's just nuance.
There's culture. It's why one of the individuals that I follow a lot online, his name is Gary Vaynerchuk. He goes by Gary V. He emigrated to this country from USSR type.
See Shuck, like SCHUCK.
Gary, and then Vaynerchuk. I'll send you some of his stuff. But he's started out as an entrepreneur, and now he's a billionaire. He's trying to one day get to the point where he can be the sole owner of the New York Jets. Like that's his lifetime goal. But he talks about how he builds the culture in his company. He doesn't tell his workers what's going to motivate them. He goes to them and he says, "Hey, what motivates you? Is it money? Is it accolades? Is it extra time off to be with your family? What motivates you to be the best version of you while you're here?"
Is it as simple as me giving you verbal, is it as simple as me giving you verbal fucking positives? You know what I'm saying? Yes, I know what I just did.
God damn it, Dan. Yes, we will take a break soon.
Hey, Sports Report. And we're going to. I know that you want to see the commercial Sports Report, and we want to too.
But the reason that Gary has been able to build the culture at his company and build a successful enterprise that he has and become a billionaire is because he knows that in order to get those things down there to happen, that he needs to happen for him to be where he's at, he's got to get down to that level with those individuals and go, what makes you tick? And he's got to figure out how, and he's got to make sure that that's going to mesh well with what he's trying to do. And then he's got to go do it. And
I just think it's so crazy that's so overlooked in sports too. Do you ever know, we literally started this show because that's so overlooked in sports. Like that is such a huge, if Patrick Mahomes, people are like, "Oh, he should have got drafted number 1 overall." Dude, there's so many examples of it. If he gets drafted number 1 overall, he doesn't go to Kansas City. He doesn't have Andy Reid. None of this happens. None of it happens. It's a completely different story.
When Tom Brady doesn't become the Tom Brady that he retired in the NFL as without the time that he spent under Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick doesn't have 6 Super Bowl rings from Tom Brady. Bill Belichick doesn't have 6 Super Bowl rings at this point in his career without Tom Brady.
Look at the LeBron James trade. Ingram, Julius Randle. Everyone's like, well, imagine if they just would have kept Brandon Ingram and Julius Randle. They wouldn't have been the same players, guys. If they get LeBron and he plays with them, not the same players. If they don't go to their own team and they're the man on their own team, not the same players. It's complete, and it's completely personality based. It has nothing to do with their talent. They would have been just as talented in LA, right? But they're not going to get the same production. It's not going to be the same thing.
You're not going to get, obviously Russell Westbrook is the one in Oklahoma City. He was great. But if Russell Westbrook had spent his entire career not as the one in another system, is he Mr. Triple-Double? Probably not.
Absolutely not. No, and we saw that. I mean,
culture matters. And as sports fans, we need to start being more accepting of that and realizing that certain things aren't going to work. Like right now, if somebody posted and said, "Hey, the Suns bought out, or the Suns are signing, or are the ones that are signing Pat Bev, not the Bulls," I would say that's a horrible fucking trade. Not because I don't like Pat Bev as a basketball player, but Pat Bev in that culture is going to be a problem because there are too many big personalities on that team that would get butthurt by his criticism.
Right.
Like, I guarantee you that Chris Paul is still butthurt about the fact that Chris Paul, or that Pat Bev said on ESPN at the end of the basketball season last year that Chris Paul was a fucking cone on defense.
Yeah.
Like, the culture matters in a team, and we've got to stop forgetting that, just like it matters in a company.
I mean, look at the San Diego Padres right now, just as an example. If you ask somebody like who watches Major League Baseball, most people, why are the Padres going to be good? They're going to be like, well, because Fernando Tatis can play shortstop and he can hit for 300, right? And like they're going to start throwing a lot of statistics at you, a lot of like what they've done in their career over this amount of time. Nothing is going to be said about the fact that Fernando Tatis might be a little bit of a bitch. You know what I'm saying? He might be a little bit of a bitch. Maybe he is probably a little bit of a bitch dick. You know what I'm saying? Like a bitch dick, like a medium a mix. Juan Soto is probably a weirdo. Juan Soto seems like he's a weird dude. Like all of this stuff factors into how they play as a team. Like baseball is like the worst example too, because obviously you can play individually a lot more in baseball because you're at the plate by yourself. Clearly all that stuff. But
there's a little bit more individuality in baseball than other professional sports outside of like obviously tennis, but like football is an example.
Bowling.
Like one of the, we look at the Chiefs football team last year versus this year. Okay. Last year you had, on paper, a better defense. You have guys like Dan Sorensen and because statistically Dan Soren gets after it. And statistically, Tyrann Mathieu is a fucking beast. But there was so much conflict in that secondary room that they did not get near as much accomplished as the younger team without as much skill this year did in that secondary.
That's another part of that Pat Bev quote that we started this with, by the way, is that he says there should be way more wins coming out of that place with all of that talent. Is basically, to paraphrase, that's what he says.
Exactly.
And I was kind of shocked by that too. Not shocked by it. I was like, yeah, that makes total sense, Pat. But you're speaking the truth there. Because like he looked at that room and went, the fuck? We have all these guys? There's 3 of them sitting right there, Hall of Famers, right? And they're still kind of in their prime, besides LeBron, who's still kind of his prime. But like, it's like, what is going on? Why are we 7 games under 500 right now? Like we have 3 Hall of Famers. This is weird.
Is AD a Hall of Famer? Because right now, with the lack of consistency, I still put him in the Hall of Very Good.
Not right now. I think that I don't even know. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if he'll ever actually get there. That would be so disappointing, wouldn't it? To see like that's really the spectacle around Anthony Davis is that like there was so much potential and people just hold on to potential.
Is another one that's just like that, and I love because they both played for New Orleans. The parallels with Zion and AD, but Zion's another one. Like if you think about it. We were joking, just like you and I were talking about earlier when we were prepping for the show. We're talking about how it's crazy that Kawhi only has 11,000 points in his career. Zion may not make it to that many.
And if you think about it, it shouldn't be surprising to us because the amount of people who fulfill their potential in life in general, let alone in professional sports, is very, very small. Very small. Most of it is fucking failing. Like Zion Williamson and those guys I'm not saying Zion's failed yet, but like so far he has not lived up to expectations in any way, shape, or form. Those are the more common stories throughout your entire life.
Most sports, look at Tyrod Taylor. There has always been a lot of potential surrounding Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod Taylor clearly has a great football mind. But think mishap after mishap after injury after injury.
Ryan Leaf.
Tyrod Taylor's not even in the Hall of Very Good. Ryan Leaf. No, Trent Dilfer is another example.
I don't know if Dilfer ever had the fucking potential. Dilfer fulfilled his potential.
He's a Super Bowl
Dilfer won a
champion.
Super Bowl. He fulfilled his potential. That's one of the rare cases where he actually fulfilled his potential.
I think he might have beaten his potential a little bit.
Dilfer exceeded expectations by a lot. A lot.
but yeah, no, you're right. And that's the thing is it's because it's so unheard of in sports for players to have a 10-year career. Look at guys like Taylor Lewan and Will Compton. Bussin' with the Boys, great sports-based podcast, primarily football focused. Taylor Lewan was All-Pro 3 times in the 9 years that he's been with Tennessee, and they cut him yesterday.
One of the most freakish left tackles to ever play in football.
Potential-wise
was top of the line. Could have been
Hall of Fame potential.
If you rank him before he gets drafted, people are putting him in the 12+ year starter Hall of Fame ballot type deal with just his raw God-given ability, quote unquote. Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So back on topic to wrap up this section, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back and move forward here. Talk about Aaron.
Some fan wants ads.
Some fan wanted some ads. We need to be realistic with load management. We need to be realistic with culture in professional sports teams because they matter in our own personal lives and our own personal jobs. It's okay for it to matter for athletes too.
To let you guys in a little bit,
money that changes your ability at your ability at how you interact with people. Everybody's got limits.
Shouldn't, but it does.
No, it's okay. But that's the thing. Is it okay? It's okay that it does. Yeah. Because you could, if somebody was like, here, we're going to give you $200 million over 4 years, but every day, but you have to spend every day trying to help convicted pedophiles get free.
Weird scenario.
But that's the thing.
But I get it. No, I get what you're saying.
There are lines we won't cross. And so because of the fact, yes, that's a long shot scenario. But the scenario exists. So we have to be more realistic in thinking about the fact that, yes, there are lines. It's not unrealistic to think that everybody's going to have lines in situations where it's like, man, this guy's personality is dragging me down. Anthony Davis's personality is probably hindered some things in that locker room.
Oh, so
Westbrook's personality probably hindered some things in that locker room. And when it gets hindered in the locker room, it translates to on the court performance because mentality is such a big piece in professional sports. Mentality for I work in sales. If I'm not in the right mentality, I have shitty days, which leads to shitty months, which leads to performance evaluations where I'm, in trouble.
Right.
But when I take care of my mental health, I do well. I make bonuses. I make more money. Everybody's happy. But so just remember, mentality and culture matter. Load management is not a bad thing as long as the NBA also is reasonable to the fan experience with the situation.
It's kind of the point of our show, guys. And to get you into the conversation earlier, me and Tony, right when he said load management, we both giggled about it. So that's how mature our conversations are outside of.
Right. All right. So we're going to take a quick break here and we will be back to talk about the darkness. Don't go anywhere.
Even when you feel low, you can still go.
Wrap up your Monday with some laughs. Make sure to join Will, Seven, Dan the Dick Warner, and Josie as they dive into the hottest topics of the week across sports, including baseball, basketball, and the NFL. You can catch the episode live Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast or Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. Don't miss the Sports Report Podcast. Don't miss Fight Night. Every Tuesday night, Will Morgan and Josie Haney break down the hottest topics of the week across combat sports, including UFC, boxing, WWE, AEW, and more. Past episodes are available on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, and each episode will air again Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. Don't miss Fight Night. Tune in or tap out. It's time for more dick, more snacks, and more basketball talk on the hardwood. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, you can catch them live on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast. Join them as they break down the hottest topics of the week in the NBA, along with the age-old argument on LeBron versus Jordan. This ain't one of Shaq's free throws. Don't miss it. And we are back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're listening to us after the fact, don't forget you can visit our Facebook page and our Twitch page. Please support us. We appreciate you. Seven and Dan the Dick Warner here, talking the human side of sports. We already talked about the load management issue in the NBA. We talked about culture and how much it matters in a professional sports team. And we've even mentioned a little bit about Brittany Griner finally getting back on the court after returning from her imprisonment in Russia. Happy to see her back into doing what she loves. But before we wrap up tonight,
she's a hard worker. She's a grinder.
She's a grinder for sure.
She's a grinder.
That was a little closer, but still kind of a stretch there, buddy.
It's there's a lot. I'm just running out of steam, really.
But as we wrap up tonight, let's talk about this Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat, man. So, and for those of you that are unaware, Aaron Rodgers said that he was going on this darkness retreat to make the decision about if he was going to play football again, if he was going to stay in Green Bay, what he was going to do. And then he would decide, he would know his answer when he came out of the darkness retreat. And this was a facility in Oregon. Basically, it was a small room with a bed and a meditation mat.
And a lot of ayahuasca.
Slot in the door. No light in the room.
Isolation chamber.
Basically,
essentially.
Yeah. Isolation chamber in the hole,
With
some
ayahuasca.
people go to the hole because they wanted to have an extra ramen packet for just in case they needed it. Some people go to the hole because they want to decide if they want to make $50 million next year.
Right. Some people go
Aaron
to the hole
Rodgers
because
needs to go fuck himself.
Dude, hey, we're a show about mental health, and you are dogging on Aaron Rodgers for his process.
Yeah.
Does everybody need to know about it?
No.
Has everybody done ayahuasca and had the hands of their 1,000 ancestors raise them through the clouds? No, they haven't. So why don't you go fuck yourself, Tony, about Aaron Rodgers, okay? Because
listen, hipster football player needs to shut the fuck up. And here's the thing. I am never going to criticize somebody for taking care of their mental health. What I will always criticize somebody for is making the entire process public. That's not taking care of your mental health. That's that's just continuing to be in the public eye. When you need to make a major decision, would a darkness retreat be some way to get that done for some people, for somebody that needs that? Absolutely.
But he's getting asked about it. He's getting asked about it too, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But he can just say, I haven't decided yet. I'm going to go through a process. I'm working on it. That's all you got to say.
But they're not gonna accept that. It's gonna be more pry about Aaron.
Really? Because when people ask Tom Brady and he says, I'm still working on it, people don't go, well, what are you doing? Tom Brady's like, oh, I'm gonna go on a darkness retreat with, and do some ayahuasca. No. Tom Brady says, I'm still deciding. Everybody says, okay. Why is it that we can't accept that when it's Aaron Rodgers? Like, this is what I don't understand about the situation. We don't need to know your process, Aaron Rodgers. We don't need to know that you're doing all of these things and the ayahuasca. We don't need to know.
But people keep asking him about it, Tony.
But he complains about the criticism, and then he opens himself up to it. I'm sorry, but at some point, there's a fucking line.
Why should that be criticized, though? Why should his process be? Why is it any different than anybody else?
Because he's talking about it. I don't care that everybody has their process. Everybody has their acting process.
You don't need to listen.
But he doesn't need to. He's stoking the conversation. It's just like with the vaccine controversy. He knew exactly what he was doing when he said, and we've talked about this.
Yes.
He knew exactly what he was doing when he said immunized. And the exact word that he used. And I called that out.
You did. He placates, but we're just talking about LeBron James placating. We're just talking about LeBron James doing the same thing. And what do those two have in common? They're both the pinnacle of like the media part of their sport. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the thing is LeBron James doesn't, LeBron James will talk about the fact that he puts the work in. He's in the lab. He's doing what he needs to do. But he doesn't, say, I'm spending every day. I spend 2 hours sitting on my roof in the fresh LA air with the sun hitting my face and the ocean cascading as I smoke the biggest blunt I've ever looked at and just get so high I forget my name. And then that's how I just release all of the mental stress.
Are you taking this as that's what Aaron Rodgers is doing?
Yeah.
Really?
And that's how at least that's how it feels.
It's how it comes off.
That's how it comes off. Because, like I said, LeBron says he's in the lab. Now, people are going to criticize that part, but that's it. Nobody criticizes what he's doing. We don't need to know what LeBron's doing. Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers would have just said, I'm working on the process. And then all of a sudden, nobody can talk to him for a week. Then all of a sudden he comes out and he's like, hey, I just took some time away, disconnected. I made my decision. That's all that matters.
I'm triggered by this, Tony. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm fucking triggered by you right now. And I'm triggered by all of the media about the whole Aaron Rodgers thing and every fan that wants to poke fun at ayahuasca and DMT, all right, and psychedelics.
You just want to be able to do ayahuasca advantageous. And DMT. That's what this is, too. That's what this is, isn't it? You just want to be able to do ayahuasca.
And if you had ever been in the glorious depths of an ayahuasca high, you would understand exactly what Aaron Rodgers is talking about. He speaks my language at this point, bro. Like, do you know how good 2 hours on an LA roof with some ayahuasca and a blunt sounded just now? Like, I was like, that sounds so tranquil, bro. So tranquil. Like, we can just no, it does. It gets me when people just doubt, like, I'm not saying that you're doing it because obviously I know that we've had extensive conversations about this. I know that you're not doing it, but like people really do. They poke fun at the whole, like the psychedelic thing as like any kind of advantage. Like, oh, he's just getting high as fucking slobbered on himself. Like No, bro. Like, we do a show about mental health, man. Those are advantageous, not to everybody. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I'm saying like it is incredibly advantageous to people's mindset. A lot. Like, there's a lot of people who have been like, and because it's still very taboo, right? DMT is not even known by a lot of people.
Right. And like, despite the, like there are so many people that when you think about doing, we'll say mushrooms, for example, like, oh, that's so bad. Really? How many, go look at studies on people with PTSD doing a guided mushroom trip.
How much alcohol did you drink the other night when you were talking about how shitty mushrooms are? How much alcohol did you drink when they were doing the mushrooms? Did you drink some alcohol? Beer and a half? Oh, that's way worse than fucking shrooms actually in reality. If you want to do any kind of actual like research on it, there's not like that's worse on your body and worse as actual drug. You would think, right, descriptive wise. Definitely.
And that's the thing. There are some true beneficial things. Like, I have no doubt that Aaron Rodgers could have truly experienced something when he did ayahuasca down in South America. Did. I have no doubt that he experienced some shit. But to continue these conversations and stoke the flames, bro, just take care of your business. Stop complaining about the criticism that you get and then continuing to stoke the fire.
I'll tell you what, Tony.
He has, it feels to me with Aaron Rodgers like he has built his brand around that and the criticism that he gets. Like, that's just his brand.
There's a lot of hater in you tonight, and I like it. If Aaron Rodgers was an NBA player, he'd be a trailblazer, buddy. Okay, he'd be a trailblazer because nobody else is talking about this. He has broke a couple of the craziest things you can possibly break as a professional athlete, and nobody mentions it. He said he was an atheist. He was the first professional athlete to basically come out and say they were atheists all the way through, which, agree with it or not, that's some pretty fucking influential shit to say if you're on that type of platform. Right. Also, with the psychedelics thing, no other professional athlete has ever come out and been like, yeah, I tripped balls last summer and it changed my life. Who has ever said that?
But there's the thing. Here's my thing. When it comes to mental issues, it is important that we talk about the fact that these issues exist and that these issues should be handled. They should not be ignored. If Aaron Rodgers truly needs to feel like he needs to do some things with his mental health to truly make a sound decision about whether he's going to play football next year, that's great. I understand. It's important to talk, hey, this is a hard decision. Hey, I'm doing things, managing my mental health and getting myself in line to where I can make a decision that's going to be best for everybody, in my opinion. Or, what's going to be best for me. Because truly, when these guys are making a decision, it is about what's best for them. As it should be. There's nothing wrong with that. But the more that you dive into that, the harder it becomes to take it seriously. Because, and the reason why I say that is, when you talk about, when you see somebody that's like a soldier that's been to war, okay, you've got two types of guys. People that were in the military and they were, you'll see a couple of different types of military, but the main two guys that you see, the ones that actually dealt with shit, they don't really talk about much. It's like, yeah, I was there. But then they're the guys that do all the talking that it's not hard to figure out. They may have been there, but they didn't do as much as it seems like.
It's embellished.
You know what I mean?
It's embellished.
It's embellished. And that's what I think, and that's what I think this really feels like is the more you're talking about it, the harder it is to take it seriously that you're actually doing things.
But if you're asked about it constantly and you talk, I think that you're underestimating how much he gets asked about it because people are interested because those journalists want that line from him that people are going to poke fun at or do whatever they want to do with, right? It's so juicy to these journalists that they're going to ask him about it constantly.
He's choosing to give into it, though.
I mean, he's a trailblazer, bro. He's a Portland trailblazer, just blazing trails all the way through the NFL. I mean, when you're on the front of a movement, Tony, ayahuasca movement, if you will, and an ayahuasca and atheist movement. The AA movement, as I like to call it.
Oh my god!
It's called AA. Everybody goes to it. It's a but when you're on the front of that, you got to take some criticism. You know what I'm saying? I'm not directly comparing him to I don't know Nelson Mandela, but he's pretty close. You know, it's A-Rod, Nelson Mandela are right in the same level of absolute just being trailblazers, being Dame Lillard, Portland Trailblazers of their particular, you know, Mandela's was more about being in prison, but Aaron lives with his own personal prison, okay, that he likes to escape by doing massive amounts of psychedelics in the jungle sometimes. I can't even keep a straight face during all of that. I can't even do it. I try really hard to be serious, but I can't. It's like I'm on Between Two Ferns. Brie Larson.
Can't with you. I can't
with you. Bro, Brie Larson's on the show. And Golf Knox is like, I heard that you don't like. He starts with, we have Brie Larson. He's like, I heard you don't like being asked personal questions, so this is a two-parter. He said, what's your middle name and when did you first get your period? And she just fucking loses it immediately, like just loses it. He's like, it's like your movie that you have out is called Mrs. Marvel. He's like, did they just give up? What are they? He's like, what is it going to be next? Like Captain Comic Book? There aren't even questions. He has John Hamm on there. He's like Matthew McConaughey recently did this film, and he's like, John Hamm's like, yeah, I haven't seen it. He goes, do you think that paves the way for other hot idiots? Oh my god. Oh yeah, and John Hamm, he says from the Mad Men. You saw Mad Men on AMC,
right?
He says the Don Draper suit is in the Hall of Fame or whatever, the movie Hall of Fame. And he says, do you think they hung it next to the Cosby sweaters? Yeah, dude. What a John Hamm loses it, dude. Laughs fucking like is like has to like leave this. He's like, that is such a good question
because I never watched the John Hamm episode, so I've got to go back and watch that. I still maintain that the Hillary Clinton episode of Between Two Ferns is the best one. The only one that comes close is the Obama episode. Was absolutely fucking hilarious.
You know what the scary part of both of those is, and they're great. That's fucking great TV. Like if the scary part of those is they can act. Those two are fucking actors. Like they know what they're doing. He's convinced. Like he's like, holy shit! Like this is weird. Like this is a whole different level of acting.
They gave him something to work with. Like those were again arguably two of the best episodes of Between Two Ferns. And it's not comics or actors that are sitting next to him. It's fucking
real huge political figures.
Huge political figures. And
I just watched the movie the other night.
Hillary Clinton's been faking it for years, so I'm sure she's fine. But
Bill can't please her, or she fakes it like politically.
Both.
But well, let's be honest. Bill can please her. Hey, man. Bill can please her.
You gotta have a good tongue when you play saxophone. Bill
can please her. Bill can please her. He can. He said, Hillary, no. Hillary, just get down. Just get down here. I don't want to look at anything but the back of your head, Hillary. But no. Have you seen the movie, dude? Have you seen the Between Two Ferns movie? No, I couldn't breathe. I was fucking laughing so hard at that fucking movie, dude. Like it is unbelievable. Like his dry humor shit is the fucking funniest shit to me ever. Like obviously it's exactly like fucking Letterkenny probably is, and like all the like it's just so dry and like. They just leave it so awkward all the time. He's like so awkward the whole movie that it's fantastic. It's a really good. It came out in 2019. I didn't know it was that old. But like, yeah, this is Between Two Ferns movie, and it's like his journey of making two ferns, and they actually do it like all of them are serious. Like they don't ever think he's funny the whole time. Like they just think these questions are stupid, and like they're having trouble like staying on set. All straight faced. Like Louis C.K. walks in at the end of Matthew McConaughey's fucking interview and just starts doing stand-up because Galifianakis doesn't want to listen to Matthew McConaughey talk anymore. So he has Louis C.K. come in and stand right in the middle of the stage, little tiny ass stage, and start doing stand-up. He's like hitting McConaughey in the knees and shit. Like it is the weirdest shit of all time. Like, dude, it's great. fucking great.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. Netflix, yeah, we're repping fucking Galifianakis. His Onion specials of stand up are some of my favorite. They're more art performances, and it's performance art is what it is. It'd be like a version of performance art, which comedy is too.
Yeah,
but like it's more.
His stuff is more. His stuff has always been more performance art. Because even if you look going back all the way to Out Cold, which I'm pretty sure that was his first feature film. It's all performance art for what he does.
Dude, I forgot. I like literally forgot. It's like the idea of people laughing at him, and they address that in the movie. Like people always laughed at him and not with him, and now that they realize like he was going for that, now they're laughing with him. Is like the whole point,
right?
And like it's so good, dude, because he's actually a legitimate actor. He's a legitimate actor, great writer, so fucking good. Genius,
decent genius too.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy.
Too.
Half the time it's him. It's him laughing at his own. Because he can't say it to their face. He can't say it. Like he's like can't get it out because they're so fucked up. Like yeah, dude, it's so good.
That's just his style.
Yeah, it's a good style.
And but back on with Aaron Rodgers thing. Like again, I'm not criticizing him for taking care of his mental health. I'm criticizing him for understanding in the position he's in. The things that he says, he knows they are going to open him up for criticism, and he says them anyway. And that's where I draw the line.
But then he doesn't complain about the criticism though. He doesn't complain about he doesn't go and complain about the criticism though. No, he doesn't. He complains about the criticism when he's asked about it. So he's one of those weird guys that I think the Pat McAfee show for real put a whole new level of interesting into Aaron Rodgers because he does that show, the reason that him and McAfee are such a good pair and the reason they're going to continue to do that interview every time is because you have media Aaron who fucks with people. Clearly, he's fucking with a lot of the media by saying that shit, and he's manipulating them into. He knows that he can't manipulate Pat McAfee because Pat McAfee's on the same. Like Pat McAfee has played in the NFL. Pat McAfee knows a lot about Aaron Rodgers. Like he knows that he can't just sit there and manipulate him, and because he knows also Pat will just call him out. Pat will be like, Aaron, that's a fucking bullshit answer. Like you just bullshit answered us. And like, he'll do that. She just call him out on it. And that's why it's so good is because you get like the real Aaron Rodgers is those interviews. In reality, he's probably just a really, really self-absorbed douchebag. Which is the best we can hope for.
I mean, yeah, super. The vibe that always seems to come out is the super hipster self-absorbed douchebag. Like that's really the way that it comes out so often. And it's so fucking annoying.
I would hang out with Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, of course, I would hang out with Aaron Rodgers too. Like you give me this, so he's like, "Hey, Aaron Rodgers wants to come to one of your comedy shows, wants to hang out after."
Put aside that it's Aaron Rodgers, though. What you know about him, he wouldn't be who he is without being Aaron Rodgers. But like, if you can hypothetically put it past just how he is as a person, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you would still hang out with him, I think he's probably pretty cool. I think he'd be way cooler if he wasn't famous and rich, honestly. But like that's kind of like happens to a lot of guys.
I don't know. I don't know, and I think maybe my experience comes from with my time in the music industry. I had so many times where I came across assholes that I work with that weren't just assholes in the media, and I think that's where it comes from for me because there have been times where like there are certain musicians that like I could pick out. This guy is just this type in the media. Because the media is the media. Right. And then behind closed doors, when it's just the group, he or she is pretty legit to be around. Like Steven Tyler through all media looks like he's fucking weird. I've sat around a campfire or around a fire pit and drank with the Aerosmith guys.
Did you ever mistake him as a 60-year-old woman?
Every time.
Just a second. Just a second. He looks like the hippie that cooks for all the rest of the hippies.
But he's one of the most chill guys to talk to. Alice Cooper, the guys from ZZ Top.
They've made points in movies about Alice Cooper, like in fucking Wayne's World, where they're like, yeah, we're partying with Alice Cooper, and he's like, we were in Milwaukee, which in Algonquin means flat water. And they're like, can this guy party or what? He's just like a completely different person. He's got all the makeup on and everything. He's just like very like articulate and just like talking about weird shit.
I worked in an ICP show back when I was a stagehand.
I bet those guys are cool.
I sat down when we had dinner. Because we were at a really small venue for that show, or like the backstage area was very, very small. They spent most of their time, like they didn't even get ready for the show in the green room that they had. They just got ready on the bus. It was a very small venue. Okay, you know what? I'll explain to you in a way that you would understand. Okay, so at Krug Park in St. Joe, that amphitheater that they have in Krug Park, okay, about that size.
Wow.
Okay, and slightly more facilities. Okay, as far as like what's backstage, and so there is, and so when it was dinner time, there wasn't spot for catering to cook there. They just brought us all Subway. And I'm sitting there at my table because they had it was like basically think like every break room in a work ever, just a couple of round tables. And I was sitting there eating, and they came in. Violent J and Shaggy came in. They were already in their makeup because they were going to be on in a few acts. And they sat down and they started eating theirs, and they sat at the same table as me because there was only a few tables. Everybody was eating, so they just sat down.
They were just comfortable with Jewish guys. They thought that was what was going on.
And so I was just kind of sitting there eating. I had my head down. I had my headphones in. I looked up. I saw them. I gave a nod to each of them. I just kept eating. Well, at one point, I took my headphones out. For some reason, I'd heard something. I was waiting for a call or something like that. And I took my headphones out. And they were just kind of bullshitting. And I wasn't really like interjecting. It was their conversation. I know better. So he goes, hey, you took your Violent J looks at me and he taps me on the shoulder. I look up and he goes, you have your headphones on. I want to get your opinion on this. We started talking about politics. They started asking me questions about what I thought about things that were going on. And we were just having an objective conversation. And I was getting intelligent, informed information from these two guys where the complete media perception of these two individuals as that they're, is complete
miscreants.
Miscreants, don't care, anarchy, I'm, violent and all of these different things. When in reality, these guys are great to just sit and talk to, and they're very intelligent individuals.
That's a stage name for sure.
Oh, it's
a version of a stage name.
Or the fact that,
did you ever call him Violent J? Did you ever actually have to address him as Violent J?
I just called him Jay. I just called him Jay and Shag. Or no, I did call Shaggy. I said Jay and Shaggy.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit different than just calling like literally like adjective name like.
And for me, it was like because the staff that were coming around, that like especially the staff that was on their tour, like when they would come by, it was either Jay or Shaggy. So
you had seen him addressed before.
Yeah, once they had their makeup on, they were addressed as their characters were. But once they had their makeup on, they were addressed as their characters. Just like if you're an actor on set, when you're walking around, typically they're just going to address you as your character.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
And that was just what it was. When but I talked to them as people, and so I got person back. But there was also musicians, and I won't name any of those names. There was also musicians that I work for that, you look at him and you're like, yeah, he's probably a dick. And yeah, he's a dick, or she's a bitch. And it's not hard to figure out. And I've also, partially because I've spent too much time around too many hipsters that are too stereotypical, that when I look at Aaron Rodgers, I see him as a super stereotypical rich hipster. It's just right there. Like
it is. It's low hanging fruit for sure.
And again, I'm flawed for judging people. I will be the first to admit it. But like, there's so many times for me, it gets really frustrating with him because I feel like he intentionally starts the fire, and it's really annoying to continually watch happen.
It's like those memes where it's like no one, and then it's Aaron Rodgers picture, that kind of shit. Yeah.
Right. Or, hey, the NFL news is down this week. I'm going to talk about, the time I had Danica sniff cocaine off my butthole to see if it made it tingle. Like,
see, Tony, you're not, but you're like, I feel like you're blaming that way too much on Aaron Rodgers, though.
Because he
like when you say the news is down this week, like that's the media targeting Aaron Rodgers about his answers because they know that people will poke fun / ostracize / love them. It's like he's very polarizing in the fact that he does say different shit. He says at least he's honest about shit. I think he is pretty honest about stuff. Like,
But I also think that he intentionally stokes the flames, and that's my
absolutely
problem.
Does. Yeah, he's bored. Got to be bored up there at the top.
There's a difference, and that's my thing. There's a difference between being honest and stoking the fire, and that's where my thing is I feel like he stokes the fire too much.
Okay, so your acceptable level of stoking the fire is LeBron James then, because LeBron James stokes every media fire that he can possibly get his little little toes and fingers into.
But here's the thing with LeBron, he's also not above when he throws it in a little too much, saying, "Hey, yeah, I went a little too far here," like the Kyle Rittenhouse thing.
Yes, he backpedaled on that whole thing.
He did, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't really do that. He pushes farther, and that's where it is for me. There's a difference between stoking the fire and then stepping back, or a little egging, just because it's fun.
Right.
And running full head first through, like you're running through fences and Ed and Eddie. You know what I mean?
Yes. We can honestly attribute that probably to what they kind of dealt with as adolescent, like as young people. You have Aaron Rodgers, who's first round talent wise, they knew he was in the top 10, and he goes 20 to a team who already has a quarterback, right? So like there's this different story. There's a very different story of how they came into the league and everything. Like if you've seen the Aaron Rodgers with Rogan, where he's on Rogan, one of his main stories is about how his college professor still pushes him. Like it was some story about his college professor like basically shorting him on like an assignment, not even a joke. And he's like very serious about it. And like, he clearly is driven by that. You know what I'm saying? Like he's driven by those little things where he feels he got slighted at, because he feels like he's always been the underdog in some weird way, even though he hasn't. A guy with that amount of talent shouldn't ever feel like he's the underdog or feel like he should be fighting upwards, but that's how he motivates himself. In the polar opposite way, LeBron James has never had to motivate himself that way. He just knew, and it was clear that he was the best player on the floor all the time, basically.
But here, back to Aaron Rodgers, back to what we were talking about earlier with culture. How much of the Aaron Rodgers issues relate to his negative impacts on the culture?
I don't think he has that. I don't think he realistically has that much of a negative impact on the culture. If you like, who has come out and just said Aaron Rodgers is like Aaron Rodgers is not a fan? Like, who's played with him? AJ Hawk. AJ Hawk loves him. Him and AJ Hawk are like best friends.
But
Clay Matthews loves him. Donald Driver and fucking Greg Jennings might as well just be his fucking cheerleader on every show that he's on. He might as well just have an Aaron Rodgers jersey on basically the whole time. They all love him. They all think he's a good guy. Like, they're all just like kind of his friend. And like, that kind of shows me that maybe he's not. He's probably a douchebag, but like, you're my friend, dude. And I'm a douchebag. So like, what does that say? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's fair.
That's okay.
Right. That's the most. That's the fairest point.
Douchebag some too. Yeah.
Totally. Right. That's the fairest point. That's the fairest point that I can make about it. You know what I'm saying? Like we know, but we also know what's actually inside. I feel like those dudes actually know like what's like. They actually know him. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, he's gonna try and play the hipster shit because he likes to play the hipster shit. But like, it doesn't make him a bad person. You know, it's like they even make fun of him probably behind his back and shit. Like, think about it, how big of a fucking rich hipster he probably is. But at the end of the day, there's never been anybody who's came out and just straight said that like, hey, we don't like Aaron Rodgers in this locker room. We feel like he's distracting in any way, because I don't think that he is that much of a distraction. I think that's so overblown by the media. I think that he gets baited a lot, and he plays into the bait. I'll give you that. He does. He plays it. He fucking writes for everything it's worth because it's almost funny to him. And he thinks he's smarter than he is, which he makes this common smart guy mistake and thinking he's the smartest guy in the room all the time. That's a clear mistake that he makes. And he thinks he can just play this game with the media, and the media wins every time.
But and that's the thing is that's, and I think that's where my issue is with Aaron Rodgers is there are so many of us that are intelligent individuals because I think that when you're truly an intelligent person, there's two outlooks. Either you have to be the smartest guy in the room if you're, or you don't want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. And the problem is more often than not, those individuals who feel like they have to be in the smartest guy in the room are the ones who probably shouldn't
never get any smarter.
And
right?
And that's the thing is like I have like when I was in college, when I was pledging my fraternity, they expected me to be the president of my pledge class. Just based on my personality when I was going through before I'd even pledged, when they were deciding that they were going to give me a bid. They expected me to be my pledge class president based on the other people. I didn't even get anybody to nominate me. I didn't want to be the pledge class president. I didn't want that role.
That's how they knew that they wanted you to do it.
And it was because but the reason why I didn't was because with the situation that I grew up in and everything that I went through before I went to college, I needed to learn leadership and social skills. It's one of the reasons why I joined a fraternity. It's a more direct way, and yes, it costs money, and there's other things. Fuck off on all of that, but
not every fucking frat is rapey, huge university
Animal House.
Guys, just right. So you know.
And I was, I joined it in the specific organization that I did because I was looking for learning social skills that I desperately needed and leadership skills that I desperately needed.
Yep. And
the reason why it was a successful experience for me was because I understand there are certain situations, and I know this now more as an adult than I did then, but there are certain situations where I am a natural leader. Right. And it comes from my personality. But like KD,
charisma.
The charisma that I have, right.
AD has zero charisma.
KD has zero charisma, but there are still things where like you expect KD to be that guy.
Yes.
KD doesn't want to be that guy.
Nope.
He wants to just ball.
I've been trying to tell you guys that for 15 years now. Everybody
just wanted when I got into that fraternity, I just wanted to learn how to be friends with guys and be comfortable about my experience with guys and just being a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a weird world out here for us guys. Guys, we know how to be friends.
For them, they saw me because of the things that they saw. They wanted to launch me into this leadership position from the beginning that I had no interest in because I didn't feel like I was equipped.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to be the smartest person in a room because I want to learn so much more. Aaron Rodgers wants to be the smartest person in the room.
Assumes he is.
Wonders why, and assumes he is, and then wonders why things aren't improving.
Yep.
Chances are there is somebody else in that room that is actually in the position where they could teach him something, but they're not able to.
Absolutely. Yep. Do you know who Magnus Carlsen is?
The name sounds familiar.
He's a Norwegian chess champion. He's like the best. He
was
the best chess player in the world for like a long time. He still is up. He's still up there. I mean, how do you ever not become the best chess player? You only get better, right? But the quote is actually about that, and it's literally always lean against the edge. You only get smarter by playing a smarter opponent. It was his number one rule of his this book, right? And I read I didn't read the whole book because I don't play chess, but like I did read like basically highlights of this book, and one of the chapters was actually called "You Only Get Smarter by Playing a Smarter Opponent." He's literally just saying that like he's not advancing at all in what he does unless he's playing somebody who's better than he is at it. He's not going to get any better. Because what good do you get out of crushing people who are fucking way worse than you at something? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or just taking over a room and like just thinking that you're the smarter one, and your charisma somehow just kind of overrules this person even saying anything, who clearly has a better perspective and is smarter about a certain subject than you are. Do you know what I'm saying? There's nothing to gain from that. There's absolutely nothing to gain from that. Like, and that takes everybody a long time to learn, right? Nobody learns that when they're fucking 17 years old. Nobody learns. I'm pretty sure every dude that's ever born at 16 thinks they're the fucking smartest person on planet Earth. Like, dude, I'm gonna fucking, man, I could have been Bill Gates. I could. He didn't even do anything, right? And then you start to realize, like, oh shit, I'm kind of stupid too. Like, the more you realize that you're stupid and you're humbled into these things, the more that you it's perspective. You just get perspective on life.
Look at Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was the 10th person drafted in his class. And he was going into a system that was a QB away, even at that point, from being a contender.
Yes.
And he still listened.
Yep.
And took that time to develop and get better so that he could become Patrick fucking Mahomes.
The strength and resolve that it takes to know that you're better than the guy who is in your spot, as you would think of it, as Patrick Mahomes did think of it. He is playing my spot. He did. He is playing my spot, but he actually thought that. But the strength and resolve that it takes to take a step back and go, hey, for the overall operation of this franchise and this team that we have in any fucking sport or profession, the strength and resolve it takes to take a step back and go, this is better for everybody. If I just sit back and I learn from a distance and I figure out what I'm doing first before I jump in there all cocky and think that it's, you know, it's like the famous dudes will do anything to impress chicks. Like, they'll literally like break their own leg and then like limp off, like be like, you know, you're going to pick up basketball game. They'll just be out there fucking like, they'll almost be dying of asthma and still trying to like, oh, I'm good. I'm in such great shape. And they'll almost get themselves to the brink of death. That's a true statement. Like, the true fact that dudes will do that for a random chick that's watching on the sideline of a pickup basketball game. They'll do it. Push themselves almost to the point of death to impress this person. And that is, I think, is what we're talking about, really, isn't it? I mean, just stepping back and going, hey, maybe I'm not the best basketball player. Like, maybe I can't go up and down. Maybe I don't know anything about NFL offenses. That takes an incredible amount of intelligence and an incredible amount of resolve and strength, right? That's what needs to be recognized instead of take the bull by the horns, right?
And that's the thing is, I think that's truly where, that's probably the root of where my issue is with Aaron Rodgers. And it is that, you know, KD wants to practice. He wants to work on things. He wants to develop. He wants to get better. Patrick Mahomes wants to practice. He spends extra time with Kelsey to work on those things that they do that make them an elite combo. He puts that work in. Aaron Rodgers stops trusting a rookie wide receiver after he drops a pass.
Bro, but he's also dropping dimes, though. Just saying.
And don't get me wrong, one of the most prolific arm talents the NFL has ever seen.
But here's what you're talking about, and I'm going to agree with you on this point. He's saying like, oh, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That attitude doesn't work. That's not being humble. That's literally saying like, yeah, I'm really fucking good and I'm doing my part, but I'm not going to step outside of that to help anybody else do their part. I'm just going to expect, because I'm at this certain level, that you should be at this level too. And that's such a ridiculous and quite idiotic way of thinking about stuff. And that's okay to him because, like we talked about, I think that he thinks most of the time that he is the smartest guy in the room. He also has everybody around him telling him that he is this, you know, the smartest, most talented guy in the room. There's nothing else. It's all about your man bun and your throwing arm, Aaron. Obviously, that's what we're talking about. Your man bun, your throwing arm, and your ancestors. Those are the things that we need to talk about. And those are the most important things. And you're also, did I mention you're the man? Did I mention you're the man yet today? I mean, because you're the fucking man, bro. Like, you're the man. Like, that's what's around him all the time. Like, I don't know if I mentioned it, Aaron, but you're the fucking man, bro. Like,
whereas you have, who is it? Was it Caesar? There was, and you and I have talked about this on the show. There was the Roman
it was Mark. It was Mark Anthony. It was Mark Anthony.
The person that walked with him. You're just a man.
You're just a man.
You'll die one day. You are human.
You are just a man. While the nations of people were praising him on their, like, they were worshiping him as a god, basically, and he would literally just have the dude walk behind him and say, "You're not a god, you're a man." And like, that was the guy's job, and he would kill him too. He'd eventually kill him, was the funniest part. He got pissed off enough, his pride got enough to where they would just insult him every day in his eyes as he's getting worshipped, that he would have him killed, like in public. We'll look it up. I don't know if Mark Anthony was the guy that was doing that originally, or if Mark Anthony was the guy that had that done, because I think it might have been another guy, but like Mark Anthony had something to do with it. Mark Anthony was like either the dude who did that and became the dude. That's interesting too. Like, if you're the only guy who's as powerful as the actual guy in power is the guy who fucking talks shit to his face in front of everybody and gets away with it, right? That's the only guy who they think has more power. He keeps them at a humble level. That's the weirdest part about it. And I think Mark Anthony might have been that dude, and then he became powerful, which is fucking super interesting. But yeah, because it's all about public fucking about public. It's about how you feel about something. How about this, Tony? Put it this way: you're in a marriage. Both parties in the marriage are clearly not happy. Happens all the time, right? You got married when you're really young. You turn into different people. Shit happens. That's how it should be seen from the outside, right? The best thing for both people involved is for them to not be together any longer, correct? Right? And that would actually help everybody who's involved with that person, because that person is going to be a happier, better person. They're going to be a more positive person. They're going to spread that positivity throughout people that they know, correct? That would be the logical way to think of this. It's just to go, hey, you know what? We had a good run. Shake hands and fucking walk in opposite directions. That would be the logical way to think of that, right? No, that's not what we do at all. That's not what we do at all, because of what other people will think about it has so much to do with your decision, that you will actually just stay in said relationship while neither party, the only two parties that matter in a relationship are A and B, and whose opinions are actually running A and B's relationship is C through fucking Z. That's who's actually running the relationship, because they don't want to deal with C through Z and the perception that C through Z has about A and B, right?
Right.
Exactly the same thing that we're talking about. Like, do what is actually best for everyone involved. And why are people criticizing those things? You know, like, why is that yeah.
Well, and I think because it's best doesn't mean it's what people are going to agree with, because even if it's best for both parties, it's not what actually benefits this one party. So this person's going to bitch, or it doesn't actually benefit this party. So this person's going to bitch, you know, so there's always going to be a situation where nobody else is happy, or where some people aren't happy. And that's where the media spin is going to come from, because that's the easiest way to generate traffic.
And I think we're kind of touching on what the actual issue is that everyone is way too concerned, and they take way too much account into what other people's condition is at a certain point, that it influences their life. Like, there's not many people, Tony, that can influence my actual, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, nothing that anybody else is doing. I don't care if I have my two best friends are married. Say that my two best friends are a guy and a girl are married, or two guys that are married. I'm like, in your case, two guys that are married, two girls. It's two girls. I was just making you're a girl joke, but like, if those two people separate, it doesn't fundamentally affect my life. I am absolutely going to be concerned for both individuals, because they're my best friends. I'm going to be concerned for both of them. It doesn't fundamentally. How does it fundamentally affect my fucking everyday operation? As far as, like, yes, I will obviously we'll talk about how this happened and things like that at a certain time. Why do you care so much about what those people are doing? And that you still get to operate freely in this world as an individual without you having to worry about whether or not your two best friends are going to get fucking divorced or not. Like, if that's the best thing for them, then great. I don't know who's like going out there trying to get divorces. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think everybody that gets married is like, man, can't fucking wait to get divorced, bro? can't.
I mean, there are
fucking wait
some
to get
people that
divorced.
probably do that because of financial or green card reasons or whatever.
That's
the average
yes.
normal, the way it's supposed to be marriage, you're not going into it with that mentality.
Right. There can't be true despair without hope, Tony. And
right.
like that. So everyone's like, they're not trying to do that. They wanted to avoid that at all costs. If they're doing that, it's clearly the best thing for both of them. So like, it kind of should be celebrated, right? I mean, like a divorce should be kind of like, yeah, we fucked up and got married. But at the same time, it's like, it's like as Louis C.K. would say, marriage is like a cocoon stage for divorce. It's like it's like it's growing.
That's such a great line.
It is, dude. It's like a cocoon stage. I mean, it's just marriage is how long you can hack it. Like how can you? And then at what point do you just that both of you either give up and leave, or both of you just give up and like, fuck it, we're here together. Like that's right. I mean, I think that's a lot of us forcing monogamy on a large part of a population, which are basically just apes that should have multiple partners. But
there's, I mean, the thing of it is I think that monogamy for the sake of monogamy is fucking pointless. Like,
stupid.
Staying in one relationship or with this one person just to stay in that relationship is
mostly to appease other people, right?
To appease other people or to appease some fucked up ideal. That's so unhealthy. Like, the point of the relationship is supposed to be the things that you both get out of it. And if those things don't exist and you haven't found new things that balance still everything out so that you're still being enriched by this relationship, then it's unhealthy to stay in that relationship, because you don't look at your kid that's in a situation where they're in a toxic relationship and go, oh, well, you're in a relationship with that person. You need to accept them as they are. No, you're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to grow. And so it's unrealistic to expect things. You expect people to grow in a way that doesn't cause that change to need to be the divorce, because some people, because of things that they've gone, they finally got to the point in that relationship where they were comfortable enough to truly be themselves. And then as they start to grow from that, they go in completely different directions. Like if that were to happen to Martha and I would be cheering her on. I'm not going to be mad. Like, I want her. The reason that I truly care for her is because I want her to be successful and happy in her life. And if there comes a point where I'm not part of that, does that suck? Yes. But that doesn't change my want for her to be happy and successful in life, because otherwise I didn't love her at all in the first place. Exactly. And you actually didn't want what was best for her. You wanted what was best for you in a certain situation. And dude, you brought up such a fucking good point. You're full of good points tonight. We can rewind them later. We'll fucking replay them. We have a little highlight reel. It's gonna be like a Vince Carter dunk film, except for it's gonna be fucking Tony's good points. But like your point about like how hypocritical are you to sit there and tell your teenage son or daughter that, oh, well, that person's just not right for you, when you yourself may be in a relationship in which the other person is not right for you. And if you think your fucking kid is stupid enough that they cannot see that, you are being a huge hypocrite and probably confusing the fuck out of them, because they're going, well, why didn't somebody tell you that? You know, so like, why didn't somebody fucking tell? I see what you guys are doing. Not obviously not, but like in a lot of parents' relationships, it's not great. And if you don't think the kids can't just go, hey, I'm not fucking stupid, dude. I see that you guys don't like each other. Like, right? That's so hypocritical for them to go to their kids and be like, that's why there's just so many, not right for you. It's not right for you. Like, that's why there's so many sources that say that staying together for the kids is the absolute wrong decision to make. And bad. It is. It's because I have firsthand experience. Like if you were in a situation, like when you're in that kind of a situation and you're staying together for the kids' sake, the kids know. 100%, dude. What was that movie that was Couples Retreat with Jason Sudeikis, where the guys all were supposed to go, or the guys all thought it was just a trip, but it was actually like a vacation. They thought it was a vacation, but it was actually a situation where it's not Sudeikis, it's Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman. No, it's Sudeikis. No, is it? It's Jason Bateman, bro. No, because Jason. No, hold on. Really quick, while I'm looking this up, AB with the Twitter Gold yesterday gave her too much BBC. Now she got CTE.
Oh my God. Legend. Sorry, legend. That is a legendary tweet. Good tweet. Good tweet, AB. Legend tweet. That should be on some kind of like tweet Hall of Fame thing, right? I mean, like, while it should also be tracked by local law enforcement, it should also be on some tweet Hall of Fame.
Jason Segel. That's his name. Jason
Segel. Okay. All right. Sarah Marshall's boyfriend.
Yeah, Sarah Marshall's boyfriend.
Yes.
And Russell Brand stole the movie for getting Sarah Marshall.
Inside of you. And it's like, Jonah Hill's like, just went from 6 to midnight. Fucking, dude, yeah, so good.
That was such a good movie. Okay.
Like, there's a lot of things I haven't told him. Like I have genital herpes. It's like, it's not inflamed right now. Dude, so yeah, that would be so fucking funny, man.
And it's weird how like couples retreat for getting Sarah Marshall and then get him to the Greek. It's the strangest trilogy in history.
I didn't even realize it was a trilogy until you just said it.
Like, I knew that that's the thing is if you watch those 3 in succession, it's like they're a trilogy.
I knew that Get Him to the Greek and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, that's definitely a trilogy because Jonah Hill, the character that works at the restaurant in Hawaii, goes and like basically reps and manages Out of Snow. They don't call him Out of Snow, I don't think, in the movie, but like that's totally what it is.
Like, but that's the thing is because like, well, you've got the couples retreat and then Forgetting Sarah Marshall is the sequel. Is the sequel to the couples retreat.
Yeah.
And then Get Him to the Greek is the sequel to Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's the strangest trilogy. It's the trilogy that's not a trilogy.
I didn't factor that couples retreat was part of that, but it totally is. Like it is. It's a precursor. It's like Marvel. It's like the Marvel universe, except for not as shitty. It follows better. It's got more linear.
I mean, they're all 3 still better love stories than Twilight. So,
you know what? You fucking bite your tongue. You fucking bite your tongue. I've seen all 6 of those movies. You're like, there's only 3 of them. Well, no, there's 6 because there's outtakes of all of them.
5.
Is there really 5 of them? Oh gosh. Well, yeah, I saw the 3rd one in theaters. So
here's the thing. Legitimately, and I say this objectively. I understand the criticism of the series, but the books are readable. The movie series was dog shit. Kristen Stewart is that was not the role for her. There's not.
Yeah, I've heard it's not the same thing. She's very misrepresented as far as the book goes. Is what I've heard. And also, what's crazy is the worst castings for that movie as far as the characters as it translates from book to movie were the main character Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. Horribly cast for their characters, but the side characters in the story are perfect.
Are actually pretty well cast.
Yeah,
like
but you can't have the 2 fucking main characters in the whole book series be shit, and then the rest of them be like perfect, spot on. And everyone's like, oh yeah, I mean every supporting thing is pretty good, but the main 80% of the whole story is not well done. Exactly. They don't have good chemistry.
They don't.
And no fault of Robert Pattinson's, by the way. Who I am a fucking gigantic fan of. I fucking love Robert Pattinson. I think he's a great actor.
I love Robert Pattinson. Dude,
he is great.
And the thing of it is I get the criticism of him because of Twilight, because he did not do well in those movies. But anybody that has not seen Remember Me cannot talk to me about Robert Pattinson's acting. If you haven't seen Water for Elephants, don't talk to me about Robert Pattinson's acting.
If you haven't seen The Lighthouse with him and Willem
The Lighthouse, that is a great movie.
There's 2 people in that entire movie. There's only 2 people. Like, there's only 2 people in that entire movie, and it's fucking really good. Like, it's legitimately entertaining. Yeah, it's entertaining. Like, you're like, what? Oh, there's only 2 people, and you don't really ever see anybody else except for those 2 guys. Like that makes you got to be a fucking stud. You got to be a stud. That's why I respect like the older actors and shit because, dude, they had nothing to work with. Like,
exactly.
Watch Casablanca and then tell me that there's like 8 total sets in that entire fucking movie. They're in like 8 total places. You know how many places they are in Fast and the Furious? Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah,
they had to film in different goddamn countries, not just a different fucking set. They went to different countries, and then they had to drive for some reason away from everything. When you could have just stopped and handed the fucking package off to somebody, but no, you have to drive it still. Why are they driving all the time? What do you? is it like fucking Speed with Keanu Reeves where you have to keep going? Or the cars can pull up? What the fuck is going on right now? All of them are set to speed, and they're gonna.
They didn't. That was. You have to remember those early Fast and Furious movies. They didn't realize they were heist movies yet. They didn't know that they were heist movies.
They thought they were street racing movies.
They thought they thought that they were street racing and action movies, and really they were heist movies.
And then Steve Smith from American Dad writes the fourth one, and it becomes the best one of all time, where literally like in the middle of the movie, it's all serious and car chases, and it's just the action that you would expect from Fast and the Furious. And then at one point, Brian Spilner rolls over fucking Dom Toretto's car, and they just lock tongues in the middle, like he's like upside down. They just start making out, and the rest of it is just a gay porno for the whole rest of the time. And like that is the perfect finish. Like at the end of it, just like right before credits roll, Spilner just bricks in Dom Toretto's mouth, and that's the end of the fucking whole series. And it becomes just like it just gets just iconic theater at its very, very best.
I fucking can't with you. God damn it.
Just roll credits, because that was a fucking masterpiece.
But this Robert Pattinson can act. And
trained
100%.
Horseface, trained. Very Benedict Cumberbatch of him to be horseface and trained.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Benedict Mathurin? Benedict Mathurin. That's the guy. Oh shit, he plays for the Pacers. Never mind.
We're not doing that fucking guess the player game that you guys play on the hardwood.
Podal.
I
always think like POTUS, like the fucking president.
I know.
So every time I heard it, I'm like, what are we playing? Fucking who's the president? Jimmy Carter. My first guess. Jimmy Carter. How many president's autographs do you have, Tony? What's your president autograph count, huh? That's what I want to know. Do you really have 3 president's autographs?
Mm-hmm.
So do I. You have their actual like fucking written down autograph.
Yeah.
Who? You have Obama's?
I've Clinton, Bush, and Obama. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude! Can I trade you for the Obama? I'll trade you. I will trade.
I'm not trading
all 3 of mine. Wait till you hear who they are, though.
Okay.
Got to hear who they are, and then maybe I'll go, because I have Nixon, Reagan. I have Nixon, Reagan, and Carter. Okay, so Carter's shit. He's a fucking base card. So I know that we're just dealing with Nixon and Reagan here. Okay. Let's just, Carter was a fucking hippie idiot. I'm just kidding. He's actually a great guy. He's a great guy. That's why he wasn't a good president.
He's in hospice care now. Like, so
he's a great fucking guy. And that's why he wasn't a good president. He was just such a good guy. And like, they were like, hey, you need to do devil shit because you're the president of the United States. Like, go bomb some people. And he was like, I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to fucking do that. And they were like, well,
he's actually.
You remember what happened to JFK? Remember what happened to JFK? Like, go ahead and do it. He was like, oh shit.
You know, Carter works in Habitat for Humanity, actually works in this community. He's like, gotta respect that. Sad that he's not going to be around much longer, but he was a good example.
I'll trade you Ronald Reagan and Nancy. You get Nancy on the side, and Jimmy Carter for Obama. So you get the couple, and you get Jimmy Carter, because I'm not giving up Nixon. That's clear. I'm not a thief. That ain't happening. That thing's going to be on a mantle somewhere. All right. Let's just make this clear.
I've got to have. You see, honestly, I gotta have, if Nixon's not in the deal, like Nixon and Carter will talk about it, but if Nixon's
I'll go Nixon for Obama straight up. Nixon for Obama straight up. I'll throw in Nancy Reagan because nobody cares.
Yeah. No, because that's like,
God damn it.
No, I'm not taking the Nancy Reagan one, man.
You have to take Nancy. If you're gonna take Ronald, you have to take Nancy on the same goddamn paper, okay? Then I'm not cutting the paper up. You have to take her too, because they both signed the same thing. God damn it. Fuck, now I show all my cards. This is no longer a negotiation. Deals are off the table. Nixon is not available. Nixon is not available.
More of a breakdown than Chris Paul to LA.
How many times? Like more than once. I'm like, okay, I'll trade you. All right, I'll trade you Nixon for Obama straight up. And I'm like, no. Never mind. I go back and watch the time when he literally fucking got in a helicopter and flew away, and I'm like, fuck, I can't do it. I can't do it. This guy's too good. This guy is too fucking good. He takes over for a president who got his face blown off, and then proceeds to just cheat. He was like he already didn't cheat. This is the best part. He already cheated, and he just keeps cheating. Like, what an asshole! What a huge asshole! Like, he was like, "Oh, I'm already on top. I might as well get more on top." Like, how do you get more on top than being the president of the United States? You don't need to cheat anymore. You don't have to. Like, you already made it, bro. You're already there. Carter realized that. Carter was like, we should save some trees. And they're like, fuck you, you idiot. You get more on top when you're the president. You got to get more on top. Everybody's got to get more on top of everything.
More on top.
Donald Trump knew that, and that's why he's a fucking goat POTUS, all right? He knew that. He knew, all right? Good God. It goes, it definitely goes Trump, George Washington. Trump, Lincoln is a real mind bender for me. I don't know which one to pick. They're so equal in so many ways. They definitely stood up for what was right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the wall, abolishing slavery, same level. That's the same level of clearly the same level of shit, dude. Like they dealt with the same things.
The views of Dan the Dick Warner do not necessarily reflect the views of all of us here at Sports Report.
If anyone thinks I am serious with any of this, I applaud you for your absolute negligence of any kind of knowledge. Any kind of knowledge. Good for you. Good for you guys.
But actually, I got Obama's. I don't know. I think the Obama one is worth all of those autographs. And the reason why is because
why do you think I'm trying to get it, Tony? I'm trying to fucking
the reason why is not just because it's Obama, but also because of when I got it. Because I got it when he was on the campaign trail before his first presidency.
It's a rookie.
It's a rookie card.
It's a rookie auto. You have a fucking auto. Jim Mint 10 rookie Obama auto. That's like a Charmander 96. That's like a 10 Charmander 96. Like a fucking just that's one of 4 in the world. It's like a fucking Babe Ruth bat auto that gets signed by George Brett. That's how fucking rare that Obama fucking auto is, bro. That's a $500,000. That's a $500,000. I'm trying to get it out of you with all sign anything like Pete Rose, Ronald Reagan, and Nancy Reagan. Just signing everything. They were just putting shit in front of them like, yeah, it's a poster for drugs. I don't know. Some kind of drug thing you guys are running. They're like, yeah, sign it. They're so stupid. Like you can tell they just like haphazardly. Dude, well, hey, I don't know if it adds value. My Nancy Reagan one is a handwritten letter. Okay, so she actually wrote it out, which is pretty cool, right? But I'm pretty sure they had like a stamp that stamps the whole page. So like she wrote one and they just stamped like 1,000 of them. They're like, yeah, everyone's gonna think this is handwritten. It's just ink on like an actual like a tablet that they fucking pre-produce so they can just mass manufacture them. That's what it looks like for real. It's fucked up, but like I'd like to think she wrote it herself, but I don't think she did. I think she wrote one of them and they just made a reprint and they just put a bunch of ink on the end of it and we're like, yeah, it looks like she wrote it. So fucked up. A bunch of shysters. You know who's not a shyster though and never was while he was the president? Fucking Donald Trump, dude. Never did anything shysterish. Okay, he never did anything that was deceiving or in any way political. He was just all about the people. He really was. When he did the speech out of The Dark Knight Rises, word for word, during his inauguration, he was really trying to speak to the American people in the most honest way that he could, and that was plagiarism. He just was going to plagiarize an entire Christopher Nolan dialogue to speak, because who speaks to the people like Christopher Nolan? Let's be honest. That's a real, that's a white collar guy to me. And I mean, goat POTUS. If we're going goat POTUSes, if we're going Mount Rushmore presidents, that's great. If we're going Mount Rushmore presidents, bro.
I can't. Okay. I give up. We'll end the show. He finally got me.
I feel like Galifianakis. Why does anybody even do this? He's like, why do you guys do this? As they're both just like losing, they're like, I can't even do this right now. Peter Dinklage walks off the set. He's just like leaves. He's like, where'd he go? He's like, he just left. He's laughing so hard that he has to like leave. He has to like get up off the set and like walk away. He just like walks off. It's like I can't do it because it's so awkward. It's so fucking awkward. It's great.
That's how you sum up our show, though. It's between two ferns, but sports related.
Right, and there's no ferns, which we should get some ferns. I was thinking 3 ferns.
You know what?
If we get 3 ferns, that's above. I mean, you break a new record. This would be a record.
But we have to do is we have to plan it so that like my fern is on one side. So like I put my fern over here, and then you got to put your fern on that side.
Right. So it's like
we're between 2 ferns.
But it's still 1,000 miles apart.
But it's still 1,000 miles apart. That's right.
And then people would be like, dude, the fucking underlying story of their show is like it means so much more. You guys don't understand. It's not just about them being idiots and talking on the internet. It's about fucking love and passion for their country and passion for sports and what it does for people. And we're like, no, it's just us fucking talking about stupid shit on the internet, bro. Like, don't look too far into it. Don't look too far into it. Don't. Just please don't. It's like the South Park episode where they have to read Catcher in the Rye, and none of them get it. They don't know why it's like offensive, and everyone's like, well, it's really just about this man who's like, they're like, stop reading so much into shit. And they write Poopy Mc
oh
yes, something like that, and it's like the number 1 selling novel, and they're like, he's talking about the democratic liberalist system, and they're like, no, we're not.
Yeah, it's.
No one would make fun of what's her name, the chick from Sex and the City. They call her transvestite donkey witch the entire episode.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
No, is that her name? The one from, she got the long face. She does kind of have a little bit of a horse face. Beautiful woman. But she's very. Is Miss Sarah Michelle Gellar? No, that's Sarah Michelle Gellar's one from the witch thing, right?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes, yeah, that's Sarah Michelle Gellar. This is God damn it, dude. I'm not even gonna look it up because I'm so mad that I can't think of it. Fuck, I can never think of her name. Now I'm looking it up. What's her name? Now we gotta figure it out. Whole Sex and the City cast coming at you guys, just in case you guys haven't seen the show.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
There you go. Bam. 3 names.
That's probably why I thought, and Sarah.
Best 3-name actor of all time.
I got.
Who do you think? Best 3-name actor.
Edward James Olmos.
I mean, it's got to be the new Nightwing, right? A guy who he's in the fucking teenage movie with Heath Ledger.
Oh,
I can never think of his name. There you go. He's up there, right?
He's got to be up there.
He's up
there.
There's
actually, I would say it's probably Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, right. I think he's most established. I don't think there's best 3-name athlete in the show.
Or Robert Downey Jr.
Ooh, Robert Downey Jr. Well, that's Jr. doesn't count. That's so
I don't know.
You got to hyphenate it. If whatever's hyphenated. Best 3-name athlete of all time. That's an interesting one. There's probably like a clear-cut one that we're just missing. But I mean, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander?
MVS?
No, that can't be a thing, right? There's got to be a better one. There's got to be like a more. I mean, fuck. I'm just trying to think of hyphenated last names. You'd have to go. Yeah, I don't even know. That's a good question. See, we're asking questions that even stump us. I can only think of like 2 athletes at this point, even though I know there's like a ton. I wanted to say Odell Beckham Jr. and I was like, I just said the Jr. can't count, so that's not really. There's what I was thinking was Dorial Green Beckham, which not even close, but still another 3-name athlete. Robert Downey Jr. though, because I think Jr. was his mom's maiden name. Wouldn't it be? Or his dad's.
You're reaching, buddy.
I mean,
all right. For those of you that are watching live, watching after, thank you for supporting us. We appreciate you. Catch us live every Thursday night, or most Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern.
If you're still actually watching, you are such a champion. I can't. Your resolve and just really just your humility to stick with this entire thing.
Get some help if you've been watching for this long.
Maybe schedule an extra therapy session this week.
An actual therapy session.
If you're not already on live call with your therapist, which if you've watched this entire thing, you probably are. Get into a live session as soon as possible. Maybe right when we get. That's what I'll be doing. I go straight from this into an actual live session where it's not a podcast because it's private, but we do the same thing. We just talk, and she's very annoyed by it, but great therapist, very annoyed. Hangs in there though because I pay her a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? You can pay people to do things that they don't want to do. All right, and being a therapist to me is one of those things. Nobody's gonna want to do that. Who wants to do that? Who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that unless you pay them. Nobody's gonna do that. Tony does that for me, and I love him for it, right? Because who would fucking do that besides an absolute insane person that needs to see somebody for help anyway? So if you stuck through the whole entire podcast, you're a champion, and honestly, I salute you.
I salute you. You're a real man or woman of genius, as those commercials go. Real man of genius.
Oh yeah, those are fucking. Why are those not on anymore? They were
because they just kept getting worse and worse, and they were
so bad. They came out at the same time as like some of my favorite beer commercials of all time, the Guinness ones, where he's like, it's the two scientists, and they're all like they're like the choppy like animation.
Brilliant.
And he walks in, he's like, I found a way to put 6 beers at the same time. He's like, 6 beers at the same time, brilliant. He's like, I figured out not to drink 6 beers at the same time. Don't drink 6 beers at the same time, brilliant. It's like the whole thing, brilliant. Those were that's same period.
Yeah.
Who just posted Evan, our network buddy, Evan Ickert. I don't know how to say his last name.
Ickert, yeah.
Ickert posted the original "What's Up." The original.
Oh, and then, okay, I was watching that.
And then obviously Erica, the copier that she is, reposted it. So unoriginal, Erica. Haven't got to talk shit on you for a long time, so I'm just gonna start right now. Wow, why don't you be original, okay? But no, she reposted it. I saw it. I was like, dude, that commercial is fucking hilarious. Like that's good shit.
Today.
When do they put anything like that on TV anymore? It's all just like, how do we get the most people to at least know what the product is? We do a normal, not funny, everyday interaction with somebody else, and then we just say our product in the middle of it. Yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. That's what every commercial is to me now. I'm like, how's that interesting or funny, or how are they trying to make any of this
relatable? Right?
Like, what in the fuck are you talking about? Nobody's buying fucking Progressive insurance because they saw 2 people in the same situation as they were going, we should talk about our insurance though, or our car. When's the last time you just brought up, Tony, have I ever brought up my car insurance to you before? Have I ever been like, Tony, you know what? Should have got the full coverage, man. Instead of just liability, I really should have got the full coverage. If you're my insurance agent, I'm bringing it up to you. That's what you do every day. Who was in your personal life just bringing up shit like that? Anybody?
Every once in a while, I get a question, but it's never.
That was a bad example because you are a fucking insurance agent. So I get that.
But
so
it's not a regular occurrence, and and I think that's part of their frustration with that is a lot of those commercials with that, even working with Progressive's product, because I don't work for Progressive anymore, so I can say this, but even having worked with Progressive's product. I get that the advertising can make it seem, that type of advertising can make it seem like that's, they're acting like that's a common thing to talk about. And when they try that advertising with other stuff, or hymns and Viagra.
Right.
Guys, yes, we talk about sex, but we don't talk that in depth about it.
No. I think girls talk way more I think girls talk more of in a realistic sense about sex. Does that make sense? I think they're more not that we're not realistic about it, but I think there's more, because there's more detail. It's more of a realistic feel for what's going on in that situation. They give more of a detailed account. Does that make sense? I feel like we're just constantly going to be
and I think that's because, also most women are naturally more detail oriented than men are. And so I think that's just a natural piece of it. Males typically tend to be more, event based, whereas women tend to be more detail based.
or overall story
just
and
about
details.
Men are like, yeah, we went out to dinner. Women are like, we went to Texas Roadhouse and he ordered for us because he had already knew what I wanted. He asked for a couple of extra things that he thought I might like just to add, the mood. He took me here. There's a lot more of the interior details that matter. Whereas to us, it's just like, we went to dinner.
Right. Do you feel like we're skipping through a lot of our lives because of that general mindset? That seems like we're just kind of skipping parts, like it's Click with Adam Sandler.
Yes and no. I think that a lot of that comes down to is because it's a different mindset. There are the things that matter to us don't matter to them. The things that matter to them don't matter to us. And I think that's almost by the design or evolution of our species.
Absolutely. Because
we can't all, just like the reason that there are some people that are naturally morning people, naturally afternoon people, and natural overnight people. That's how our species has evolved, is to have those 3 cycles because of the 24 hours in a day. Whereas, one person can't watch everything. And so some people are naturally more predisposed to focus on these things, and some people are naturally more predisposed to be in these things. And that's how society, that's how circles and societies build, is because of that natural fit for those different spots.
Right. And in their very originality, that's how they would have been built. Exactly what you just said was somebody would have had a shift, right? So there's only 12, 15 people in your tribe. People have shifts. Somebody has to be awake all the time because there's fucking lions and shit out there trying to eat our kids. Like, so you got, like, there's got to be somebody awake. We can't all just be fucking sleeping and let the lion just like kind of walk up and sniff us and then kill our kids. Like, somebody's got to be awake all the time. So that starts this whole, you have your thing, and there's like, there's always a human awake, right? There's never been a time in the history of humans, that all humans have been awake or asleep at the same time. It's just it's protection. It's how we evolved. Exactly. It's how we became who we were. And we didn't like hair that much. So we started, fucking the less hairy ones. And then those less hairy ones fucked the more less hairy ones. I think it might be about personal hygiene, Tony, how we evolved as humans. We might just like, we were like, I don't like all that hair all over his balls. I don't like it. And women were just like, not about the hair on the balls. So the first one that didn't have as much hair on his balls, all the women.
All right, it's time. All right, for those of you that have been watching us, I appreciate you.
Space.
I
really can't do it anymore.
I can't. I just can't. We appreciate your support, and we will see you next week right here on Sports Report After Dark.
I feel like you really took a closed-minded view of this tonight, Tony. And I feel like sometimes, with your ayahuasca, it's clearly not meant to be. You're just fucking such a hater. It's unbelievable.